Are you ready for combat night?
And on the beautiful Sunday morning, I am sitting here with a real Combat Night OG, a close family friend of mine as well, and someone who will be fighting November 8th in Jacksonville. I cannot wait to have a conversation with Korey Taylor.
What's going on, man? I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Closer. So Korey, man, yeah, Raina will let you know if the audio is too whatever. But man, we've been friends for a very long time now. I've known you for a long time. But I don't know a whole lot about like kind of your history and how you got into fighting, what you did before fighting. I know a good little bit of it, but why don't you fill the fans in for a little bit, let them know what you did. Did you have any martial arts background before fighting, or kind of how'd you find your way into fighting?
Yeah, me and my dad really bonded over like UFC and stuff when I was real young. Our favorite fighter was like Matt Hughes, Randy Couture. And I remember I was probably like 8 or 9 the first time I ever saw Matt Hughes pick Frank Trigg up, walk him across the cage and slam him. And I at that moment I was like, oh, I think I want to do that. So about 8 or 9 years old, my dad started taking me to his buddy's gym and letting me train there. And just kind of continued on through there through my teenage years. I constantly trained with my buddy Chris Kostad, who was actually just recently at my black belt promotion ceremony, which was a really cool feeling. It was a kind of full circle moment.
Mm-hmm.
But from there, joining the Army, I had to kind of take a break because, where I was at, I was always gone. I was either training, I was deploying, something like that. And then as soon as I got out, I actually, told my wife, I was like, hey, I got to get right back into this stuff. I miss it. It's kind of the only passion I really have right now. And I walked into the gym that I'm still at to this day. And, I started out just wanting to do jujitsu, and then kind of picked up helping guys out with their camp. And a lot of the guys were quite a bit bigger than me, actually. And I'd go in there, and in my mind, my goal was just to survive, just give them a hard round, make them work real hard. And then one day, Professor Roberto asked me if I wanted to take a fight, and it was with you guys. And I said, yeah, and kind of just went from here. And I think that was almost 8 years ago now.
Nice. Not too shabby. That's crazy though that you're still at the same gym that you started at. What gym is that? You didn't mention that name.
Gracie Baja, Jacksonville.
Okay, nice. I always tell people Roberto Cotero was like he was my first like official MMA coach. He's the head coach and owner over there, one of the owners. But we used to drive from Tallahassee all the way to Jacksonville just to get some knowledge from Roberto. So if you guys are in Jacksonville, it's definitely worth your time to go check him out. He's got a great mind for the sport. But yeah, I always tell people all the time, man, I got a lot of love for Roberto. He was one of the reasons we actually started doing our events in Jacksonville. We had that connection there, have built a good relationship with him and a few other of the local gym owners out there just through traveling over there. We would go and it was really the training yard with Dean. We would go get work over there, and then we would go get work with Roberto at Gracie Baja before he moved. It was like the very first location. It wasn't the one he's at now, not the one before, but the one before that. So we go way back. It's back whenever Rob from McDojo Life, actually, I believe was a white belt whenever I first met him. And yeah, so it's been a very, very long time since I've known Roberto, and we've been going back and forth over there. So it brings me joy to see guys working with him. I just know he's guiding you guys in the right direction because he guided me as well. He taught me how to wrap hands, did a lot of things for me in martial arts. And I got a lot of respect for him for that. So you took that first fight. How did what happened? Feelings, everything, fill us in.
So I took the first fight. Did my whole camp, made weight. And, with it being my first time, I thought everything was kind of normal. And my opponent actually showed up like an hour late to weigh-ins, didn't think nothing of it. He weighed in, faced off. We made it to the event. He actually came to the fighters meeting. He showed up late to that as well. And probably like 2 or 3 fights before I was supposed to walk out, I was in the back warming up. Richard walked in and he was like, hey, man, your guy just left. And I was, what do you mean? And basically, he got in an argument with his girlfriend or whatever and walked out of the building, was like, I'm not fighting, just left. And in my mind, I was like, maybe maybe this is normal and they're playing like head games with me or something, you know, like they're messing with me. They're messing with me. So I'm trying to stay ready to, you know, fight regardless.
Keep going.
And my mom actually walked in and goes, "Hey, I just saw your opponent get in a car and pull out of the parking lot." And my first reaction was, man, they're serious about these head games, man. They got my mom in on this and everything. And but that like really threw me through a loop when I ended up not fighting. You know, I was like, man, all this was for nothing. It really kind of bummed me out. And then I wouldn't say I was depressed or anything like that, but I definitely had some extra aggression that I needed to get out. And I kind of got right back into a camp for the following event that you guys were holding in Jacksonville, and everything went great. You know, made weight, showed up, and that dude beat the dog shit out of me for 2 straight rounds. And I think that he eventually just got tired of hitting me because I just kept, you know, headbutting his punches with my face. And eventually I was able to just take him down and finish him with a TKO. And that was my first, you know, experience, I guess, performing for somebody or a group of people, you know, trying to put on a show. So I had all the jitters. I had a really bad adrenaline dump walking out. And man, I remember walking out of the cage and my nose was broke. I think he broke my nose with like the first combination he threw in the first round. And I broke my foot kicking him with the very first kick I threw in like the first minute of the first round. You know, man, I was all kinds of jacked up. And in my mind, the performance was so bad that when Roberto walked in the cage, the first thing I said, I just won. I just finished the guy, my first fight. I'm leaning on the cage. I got my hands up and he walks in and I go, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I made us look bad. I know that was horrible. He's like, a win's a win. And I was like, okay. And, you know, the night ends, I leave. And like literally a week later, I walk back in the school and he looks at me. He's like, hey, you going to be ready in 2 months? And it blew my mind because I was like, you want me to fight again? And he's like, do you want to fight again? I said, I mean, yeah, but I thought you'd be kind of disappointed in me or embarrassed and wouldn't want me to do it. So after that, you know, I just kind of kept going and it just got better and better and better. But yeah, my first fight was definitely an experience. A lot of my friends, a lot of my old training partners used to always make fun of me like, dude, your hardest fight was your very first fight. That's the longest fight you've ever had. It was, you know, the most adversity I ever faced. So, yeah, that first fight was a motherfucker.
You know, your first experience, that is my favorite excuse to not fight ever. I have told many people that story. It is up there with like, I've had a lot of great fight I've had a lot of great excuses from people about why they couldn't fight. I have very rarely have we had people make it to the event, to the fighters meeting. This has happened maybe 3 times. It has happened more than just to you, but the guy getting in an argument with his girlfriend and him leaving because of an argument him and his girl had, like, bro, you should have left that girl. I'm just being honest, guys. If it is your moment, if it is your time, if you are, you know, you've put in all this work to perform and you have anyone within arm's reach of you that thinks that's the time to argue with you, stress you out, give you extra anxiety, they ain't your friend. They're not your girlfriend. They shouldn't be your girlfriend. Like, it's just not, it's not. And that's the number 1 point. But number 2, what kind of simp are you? What kind of man are you to pull out of a fight that you've had scheduled for 8 weeks against another man that you gave your word to over an argument with your girlfriend? Bro, get out of here. There's no excuse for it. It's my favorite excuse for someone not to fight, but it's also the worst excuse. It's just my favorite because it's funny. And it's like, I like telling people that someone pulled out, even though it was against you, that someone pulled out because their girlfriend and them got into an argument. It's like, man, there's so many better things you could have done that day than pull out of your fight. Like, you could have left your girl. You could have told her to get a life. You could have told her to deal with it. You could have just chose not to argue. Anyways, you know, we've also had people pull out of fights because their girlfriend's cat died and she's really emotional right now. It's like, buddy, I hate to break the news to you, but you know, I also try to remember that, like, everyone's greatest tragedy is their greatest tragedy. Like, I can't explain to a 4-year-old that spilling her snacks on the ground is not that big of a deal. You shouldn't be crying over it, because to her, that's the craziest and most painful thing that's ever happened to her, is that she spilled her snacks. You know, for me, it's like, yo, I've broken my nose before. Like, you wait till you feel what a broken nose feels like, or wait till you feel like what it feels like to get broken up with, or wait till you know, there's so many things that are going to hurt way worse. But if all you know is that pain, then it's the greatest pain in the world.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. I used to struggle with that a lot. And my wife actually kind of gets on to me for it sometimes, where she's like, hey, you know, not everything, you know, is you don't have to compare everything to a life experience you had. And it has opened my mind up a lot more to exactly what you were just saying, you know, with everyone's worst experience is their worst experience. That's the worst thing that's ever happened. So I try to always keep that in mind anytime, you know, someone comes to me. I try not to give them a life experience of mine to try and compare it to what they're going through. More kind of hear them out and, you know, be a little bit more understanding.
Yeah, man. I mean, that is what it is, though. Whenever you're having these conversations with people, it's like, it's natural that you want to relate to people. It's just natural.
Yeah.
I'm learning actually with podcasting is that, like, I have to be less relatable, because then it sounds like I'm trying to one up you, or I'm trying to just match all your experiences. But I mean, by the time you get to our age, I mean, my age, especially, you're going to have a lot of life experiences. If you had a good life, you know, you might be really lame and you got no life experiences. But I, on the other hand, have had a very crazy, wild, oxymoron filled life of just randomness. So I have experience in so many realms that it's like, it's easy to relate to so many things. And I just got to be like, no, don't, just be quiet. You don't have to relate, especially on the podcast. But I try to remember that as well. It's like, you know, the same thing with like even gifts, you know, or like money, you know, what $100 to me isn't the same it is to an 18-year-old kid. And so like, if, you know, a kid works an event and for whatever reason he left before he got a check, I'm trying to get that money to him as soon as possible, because for me, $100 might not be a big deal, but I know for him, yeah, that might be his food for the next week. Like,
say, man, that's gas.
Yeah, I never planned ahead further than a week out whenever I was a teenager or a young adult. So I just try to remember that, like, who I am today and all my experiences, like, okay, cool. But everyone else has their own set of experiences. And they're the main character in their story. But yeah, like I said, lots of excuses over the years. The girlfriend's cat died. And then this guy arguing with his girlfriend in the middle of the fighters meeting. Almost comical. It's just like, man, obviously, he never fought again. So clearly he wasn't a fighter. He was a sad man. Sad man. I'll leave it at that.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah. So after your first fight experience, I remember that fight. It was a war. It was a very fun fight. It was also like the very first time Roberto kind of got back into the fight game. He had been out of it for a very long time. Now he's built up another amazing team. Got a bunch of great guys over there from Duval. I think him and Smiley's gym are probably the two of the bigger ones when it comes to fighters. So it's been cool to watch Roberto kind of build that back up. And I think it kind of all started with you. And even back then he was like, oh, we're not a fight gym. Like, we don't want to be, this is not my focus. And I think he still has the attitude that, the jiu-jitsu program and the family, is higher on the priority list. But he can't say that fighting's not a priority anymore. His gym, when you got multiple UFC fighters and, guys like you that have come up and taken, double digit fights. But yeah, so what's the goal for you, man? I know that, we coming off of a loss. How did that feel? Like, what was going on through your head whenever that happened?
End goal was always, UFC, PFL. I want to get, signed or re-signed, I guess, to a major organization. Anybody that knows about the PFL situation kind of knows that I did get signed. And then 2 weeks before a fight, I tore my bicep, and then they kind of just left it at that, let my contract expire. But I've always loved being a part of the Combat Night family, and I've always been super grateful, and almost to the point of, I've expressed to you in the past, like I always felt kind of indebted. Like, I always owe you guys something for, you gave me my start and you helped me, get to where I am. And you've always been really reluctant to let me know that I don't owe you anything, and that's why you do this. You do it for the love of the game, obviously, and because you love seeing people, progress with their, life goals. But coming off that loss, this is something I think about a lot, actually, and not the way that a lot of people would think. I think about it like that was an experience. A lot of people talk about their biggest fears in fighting. One of them, which has always been kind of odd to me, is I've always been really scared of getting tired in a fight, which again, it's odd to me, because if you're in any type of a good kind of fight, it's inevitable. You're going to get tired. I've always just kind of had that mindset, like, and Roberto really instilled into me, like, hey, are you tired right now? Yeah. Are you hurt right now? Yeah, a little bit. Is showing that you're tired or hurt going to make you less tired or hurt? No. Okay. Well, then tell a different story with your face. You can be tired, you can be hurt, but just don't look like you're tired and hurt. You know what I mean? And keep in mind, if you're tired, that dude's tired too. You know what I mean? So that being one that I continuously hear as being a big fear, it kind of threw me off, because my biggest fear was not really getting knocked out, but just getting finished in general. I think I've had 12 or 13 fights with you guys between amateur and pro, and that's the first time I've ever been finished. Which, when it initially happened, I was expecting this wave of emotions of like, oh my God, I suck. Everybody saw that. That was embarrassing. I guess I'm done. I don't really want to do this anymore, and that was kind of what was on my mind. And I kept waiting for that to kind of like really settle in, like, hey man, maybe you should stop. Maybe it's time. But it just never happened. And I remember like 2 days after the fight, I was like, actually the day after, me and you and our families, we went and had breakfast and we talked about it. And it was the complete opposite. It was like, I want my kit back. I was like, when can I fight again? I know I'm suspended for like 30 days, but after that, when can I fight again? And it just never really fazed me the way I thought it would. It was, you hear all the older guys in the sport, or the veterans of the sport, talk about that's part of the game. It is what it is. It happens. And coming up, I think I took my first fight with you guys when I was like 22. And yes, that was like 9 years ago. Wow.
Mhm.
But coming up, it was like hearing these guys talk about that's part of the game. If you think that'll never happen to you, you're crazy. In my mind, and I kept it to myself, I was like, yeah, it's not gonna be me. You're fucking crazy, dude. I'm not getting knocked out. I'm not getting submitted. Like, it was obviously very unrealistic thinking on my part, but it just didn't faze me the way I thought it would. So getting back into it, man, I'm really excited. And, me being a martial artist for basically the entirety of my adult life has really, I think, helped shape my whole mindset on, who cares? Who cares? That's in the past. Put it in your bag, whatever. It don't matter. You got that cool medal. Even if you win, like, cool, nice medal, nice belt, whatever. Go toss it in your bag. That one's in the past. You got to get ready for the next one. So I'm really looking forward to this next fight, and really, really looking forward to just seeing how my career progresses in general.
Yeah, it's funny. So it hurts me a lot. I'm not even gonna lie. Whenever someone, like you said, I've known you for 9 years now, and I've watched you become a man in general. Like I think when you're under the age of 25, okay, you're a man, but you're not a man. Like, you really become a man, as you you were a father already, I believe.
Yeah, when you met me, Brantley had literally just been born.
Yeah, he had just been born. So like, I'll even say this, like, I'm a father of 2 kids, but like, man, by the time Caden was like 4 or 5, like, okay, cool. Like, I'm a dad. Like, I feel like I've earned this now. It's just like when you get your black belt. A lot of times you don't feel like you've earned the black belt when you got it. Like, oh, it's a weird feeling. But after a couple of years, it's like, you know what? Yeah, I am a black belt. Like, you've visited some schools now. You've trained with some different people, and you're like, yeah, no, I'm a black belt. Like, it really sits in. But anyways, whenever I'm watching you guys come up, it's a surreal feeling, because You know, there's guys that just fought for me that were 18, 19 years old. Joe Gonzalez just made his pro debut in South Florida, and he'll probably be with us for a couple more years. And just watching these guys grow up, it's just it's surreal to me. It's crazy, and it's so upsetting. I'm not even gonna. I won't even pull back on this. Like, if you know, the guy you fought, Theron Thorne, I like Theron a lot. I got a lot of respect for Theron. I didn't watch Theron grow up. I didn't watch him become a man. I didn't in none of these things. I also knew going into that fight, that was a tough fight. That was your toughest fight to date. Like on paper, like Theron's a stud. He's no slouch. You know, and I've learned, like, yeah, what you said in the beginning of this podcast, you have aspirations to be in the PFL and the UFC. So you have to fight guys like Theron to get there. I understand this. It's part of the game. It's a part of the game that I hate. I just hate that someone has to be unconscious to like be a winner. Like that is. And it's kind of it's, you know, at one point I loved it. I loved watching guys get knocked out. I love watching guys. I don't mind watching guys get submitted or even put to sleep. Doesn't bother me at all. It's whatever. But watching guys get knocked out hurts. And it hurts more when it's a guy like you that I've known for 9 years. It's funny because people always like, I get a lot of shit. About, oh, you take care of the fusion guys. You take care of the jungle guys. You take care of Gracie Baja guys. And it's like, okay, what does take care of mean? Like, do I offer them fights? Yes, but I offer everyone fights. Okay. Do they win a lot? Yes. Are they in good camps? Also, yes. Do they lose? Korey, do they lose?
Yeah, they do.
Okay. And they don't only just lose, they get knocked out sometimes. You know what I mean? There is no, and that's what's the beautiful thing about the sport is that no matter how much you cry about favoritism, no matter how much you cry about, you know, looking out for people. And at the end of the day, two men got to get inside of a cage with the door locked and they have to fight. That's it. I have no say in that. I have none whatsoever, from the amateurs all the way to the pros. And, you know, it doesn't help. And I've learned this now. Back 5-6 years ago, you know, we were trying to build pros up more and more, but now I've just learned, like, yeah, you might get a solid first or second matchup or whatever, and you might not. Your first fight might be you might be fighting a stud. But regardless, I've learned that if guys like you that want to be in the PFL, they want to be in the UFC, it does you no justice if I'm letting you fight bums. You have to fight someone tough. It's not going to build you up and get you where you want to be if you're just fighting a bunch of bums. And then, or if you fight national TV and now you're getting whooped on national TV, that's not good for you either. So we just learned over the years that, you know, everyone's got to fight tough dudes, just the way it is. And sometimes some of my favorite people are going to lose, but it is what it is. It's a part of the sport. And so while you weren't very upset, I was extremely upset. We spent the next day with you, our families, you know, the next day, our families hung out all day, literally all day. And I was very happy. It made me feel a lot better too, to see that you were in such good spirits and that you know, it wasn't kind of like whatever, roll off your back. I'm the same way. Every loss I've taken, it's just like, whatever, like, time to move on. I want to appreciate the people around me that helped me get to this day. And that, I just want to be in an environment of love and caring and like whatever. So I'm a lot like you, but it's so different watching someone get knocked out or watching someone lose a fight. You know, I just watched two of my friends lose last night, in the UFC and in another promotion called Combat. And it's just like, man, sucks so bad, because like, it's also like the man in the arena thing, right? Like, you're the man in the arena. And it's like, well, I can criticize and go, oh, he shouldn't have done this or he shouldn't have done that. No, Mitchell, shut your mouth. Now's not the time. It might never be the time to say what I think you should or shouldn't have done. Because you are the man in the arena and you deserve that respect of like, yo, I don't know what it's like. I've been in there. Yeah, for sure. But I don't know what it was like to be in there on that night against that person at that moment in that time of your life. And no fan, no one can compare that. You know, it's funny. We see videos of people like making fun of Tom Aspinall saying he was scared or like he didn't want to be in there. Shut up. Like, you have no idea what it's like. Most people will never know what it's like to be the heavyweight world champion of the world. Just that alone excludes pretty much everybody from being able to say anything, because you'll never achieve that in your life. You won't. But anyways, the whole point of that is like, yes, guys, there's people that I love and I care about more in Combat Night than others. It's just going to be a fact. And while Corey Taylor is sitting in front of me and he's one of these guys, I can say, just because I love you and I care about you and I consider you family, it doesn't mean you can't get knocked out or you can't lose a fight. At the end of the day, two men are getting in that cage to fight. And the same thing will be happening on November 8th. I have no control of what's going to happen on November 8th. But you know, it's, I just bring that up because I've had so many people over the years. I think even you at one point accused me of a little favoritism.
I was curious about it.
Yeah. So see, guys, even people that like I consider a favorite think that I have favoritisms that aren't, you know, they're outside of them. So it's not just I get it all the time. And, you know, I've heard it from multiple camps. Some of the camps I'm like, yo, have you looked at your team's record with us? Like, I don't think you understand how favoritism works, my guy. But yeah, no. And I will say I favor the bold. Who doesn't, right? I favor the guys that go out there and put on exciting shows. I favor the people that go out there and do everything right. Like if we're not ever chasing you down on fight week for your medicals and for your pitchers and all these kind of like I don't want to deal with you. Like, and you're definitely not gonna be one of my favorites. There's a few exceptions. There's some guys that are just so they're so annoying. You have to like them.
Yeah, there are definitely those guys.
Yeah, there's some of those guys out there, but for the most part, if you're doing everything right, you're being entertaining. Or if you try to come talk to me, like, yo, I know some people look at me like, oh, I don't want to talk to Mitchell. Like he scares me, his personality, or he's this or he's that. But I do. I go get coffee with guys from all different camps. You know, Gracie Baja, The Jungle, Dark Wolf, Fusion. I'm naming camps that are close to me, but I'll also go down south and I've had coffee with guys from Freedom Fighters. I've had coffee with guys from Ayler's Martial Arts. So, you know, I get around. I try to be anyone who wants to have a relationship or be cool or wants to just find out more about the sport. I'm open to it. Like I have coffee with everybody, guys that have no intentions of being in the UFC. I go link up with them, talk about what their goals are in the sport. But it's just funny to me, the favoritism bell that gets rang a lot. And it's like, yeah, of course I have favorites. I'm not lying about that. I have a lot of favorites.
Yeah, no, it's funny, man. Cause I remember that conversation actually. I wouldn't quite say accusations were made, but a conversation was brought up. But, you know, I remember having that conversation and you basically told me flat out exactly what you just said. Yeah, of course I do. You know, of course I do. And then you told me you're like, you know, not so much favoritism, but being partial. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you gave me a couple really good examples of who you were partial to at this and who you were partial to at, you know, that. And really opened my eyes up to not so much. I think there's a difference in showing favoritism and doing like favors and stuff like that versus, yeah, I'm partial to that person. We're really close. We're friends. I care about them. I care about their well-being, their, you know, their success and stuff like that. Of course I'm partial. That's human nature. You know, as opposed to, you know, I really like that guy. So he's going to get the nod. He's going to get, you know, he's going to get that little extra push.
Yeah.
But yeah, I honestly, over the years, I think that, you know, there's been a really good, I guess, picture of how everything is ran and how everything is done. And the fact that it's okay to be partial to certain people, certain teams and stuff like that, you know, while still being able to be fair to everybody else.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and the partial to also has something to do with the teams themselves. You know, who is willing, some teams aren't willing to travel. So if your team's not willing to travel, then like your opportunities get cut and like 75% of your opportunities are gone. You know, if you're only wanting to fight in Orlando, you only want to fight in Tallahassee, you only want to fight in South Florida, it's like, man, you're already painting yourself into a corner. We only go to each city at the max like 5 times a year, and maybe the timing doesn't work or whatever. You're just painting yourself in a corner. You're going to be, and plus you're kind of missing out on the opportunities as an amateur or a pro to fight on the road. I think it's very, very valuable and important to fight on the road. And I think that's something unique that we offer our guys. So guys, if you're with a camp that is not traveling, ask them why. Put them on the spot, because at the end of the day, and if they don't want to travel, cool. Like, doesn't mean you can't travel. You know, you can talk to a coach or have somebody that can be in your corner. I tell guys this all the time, like, take advantage of every opportunity you get as an amateur to fight outside of your hometown, to, you know, feel what it like to sleep in a different bed and not have your kitchen or your girl making you food. There's so many things that, you know, you guys are missing out on when it comes to these opportunities as an amateur. And I get it. Maybe you have plenty of fight opportunities. South Florida, infamous for this, bro. They got like, it's so easy to run a fight promoter and a promotion in Florida. I mean, I could run events down there with my eyes closed and just randomly making matchups, because there's so many people who want to fight down there. But there's a lot of fight promotions too, so they don't really travel a whole lot out of South Florida. And I promise you, the rest of the country is not like South Florida. That is the most unique section of the state that I've ever seen. It's like, go to Tallahassee and fight and realize that like you can't just order food at whatever time you want because everything's closed. Yeah. Or there's not a coffee shop on every corner,
No, I actually experienced that when I started traveling, going out and cornering guys like Preston Parsons and, Kuba Kashuba and all those guys. And, man, when I went to Manchester, the first time I went over to England, we're walking around. Obviously, there's a bit of a time difference. So I'm hungry at a different time. And I was actually in camp. I was supposed to fight like 2 weeks later. And, I'm trying to stay on track with everything. And I'm like, hey, let's go get food. Let's go get, man, freaking 9 o'clock. Everything was closed. There was not one thing open. Like I could get water. I think they even pulled the water tray out of the hotel lobby. They're like, no, go to bed. Like, it was crazy to me. And France, same exact thing. Man, 9, 10 o'clock, everything was done. Everything was done. So if you wanted to eat and stay on track or just not be starving all night, then you better go get your food a little early. So I think I do think that traveling is very important, and one of my buddies who trains at Fusion, Lucas Alexander, talked to me one time about it. And side note, I do think that that's also very important. MMA in general is a small community, and being able to cross train at other gyms and getting different looks, but also knowing that those guys are going to take care of you. No one's there to mess you up or hurt you or nothing like that. Is always it's a good thing to have, But I was over there talking to him and he was like, man, I don't like fighting in Orlando. And this was when he was, before he got signed to the UFC and everything. And I asked him why. And he said, because I live here. He's like, I like traveling because then it's business. It feels like business. When I'm here, I can talk to my wife. I can talk to my family, whatever. I can go to my favorite spot to eat. I can go to weigh-ins and then go home, all these things. He's like, well, man, when you travel, you don't have that. It's business. I'm ready to go weigh in. I'm going to go get my post weigh-in meal, go back to the hotel, go to sleep, prepare, get ready for the fight. I'm done. Give me my check. I'm going home. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which I thought was a really cool way to look at that, considering at that point in time, the only time I ever fought was in Jacksonville. Unintentional. That's just how it was. It was never, I didn't want to travel. It just always happened to be that way. I was always ready at the times you guys were coming to Jacksonville. It fit my training camp schedules really well. But then I ended up being able to fight in Tally 2 or 3 times. And I completely understood what he meant by that. It was a different feeling. It was foreign. So you do have those little bit of nerves, I guess. It's an unfamiliar place. I'm not the hometown kid right now. You go in, you weigh in, you go get food, you go to the hotel, you go fight, you go back to the hotel, and then you go home. It's business. You know what I mean? So yeah, kind of to cap on what you were saying. Yeah, traveling is super important. Just getting that experience. Cutting weight while traveling is so different than cutting weight while you're at home. And I can use the sauna at my house or the sauna 5 minutes from the gym where I already have a membership. You know what I mean?
Where it's working, where it's not broken, where it gets hot enough.
Where everything that you rely on already just isn't there.
You have to become very resourceful once you get on the road. And if you're not resourceful, it's just going to be a headache because things are not going to work out. I mean, I every time I've traveled to fight, I've had very interesting stories. I could go on for days about cutting on the road and just the mayhem. Now that UFC has the PI out in Vegas, obviously those trips are much more manageable because they have a whole facility for you.
The steam room never works in, by the way.
Never.
Not one time have I been there and the steam room was working. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it'd be nice.
Yeah, you're right. Steam rooms never work whenever I've been there either. I don't know what's going on. Maybe there's a UFC conspiracy about that steam room.
I think there's just a lack of steam in the desert. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
I mean, it's got to pour water on hot stuff, right? You brought up a good thing talking about cross training. At what point did you start cross training, and how essential do you think it is in general?
My personal experience, that was huge because, like you said, there was a time, and it was right about the time that I came along with Roberto. He was not the MMA guy anymore, and a lot of it has to do, I believe, with, you know, when Josh passed away, he kind of stepped away from everything. He went through this phase where, for a little bit, where he really wasn't as invested, and how the fighters were performing wasn't his number one priority. And I think that he recognized that very quickly. So he just stepped away from it, you know? And so when I met him, he was the jiu-jitsu guy. I had no idea that this dude could literally think of a billion different ways to tear me in half that had nothing to do with jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? But when he did kind of start picking back up on it, it was a good thing in general. It definitely brought back, in my opinion, a little bit of joy, a little bit of light back in, you know, his life, you know, kind of lit that fire again. And I know obviously that, you know, you're saying that he was your first official coach, and I know that you and Josh traveled down a lot with him, you know, to work with him. So I know that I never really knew Josh like that, but I was surrounded by the impact that his passing had on everybody that was kind of close to me. So that was kind of I don't want to say a dark time, but a sad time, you know, in my home gym. And he did get way more focused on the family jiu-jitsu and stuff, and just, you know, really, really honing in on that, which was great for our academy. But for the fighters, it sucked. You know, when I started kind of fighting and helping them in training camps, there was me and one other guy, and he's actually on a picture right above your head, Brandon Lopez, who, if anybody knows Brandon, man, is probably one of the strongest dudes that's ever held me up against a wall. He's probably the only dude I've ever met that was similar to my size, only one weight class above me, that if he put me on a wall, I was like, well, I guess I'll wait till the bell to move, I guess, you know? And especially back then, he was a heavy wrestler. I did not wrestle at the time at all. But at the time, Brandon was in the military, so I think he deployed right after like his first or second fight with you guys. So after that, it was just me. Man, we were pulling guys from the jiu-jitsu class that were not fighters at all. And he was just pulling like the heavyweight guys. Hey, just lay on him and make him get up. You know what I mean? And as far as that goes, that was it. I didn't have anybody else. I had no like legit camp. Basically, my camp with Roberto was conditioning, dieting, and grappling. And after my first fight, we realized, you know, I think we kind of realized that wasn't enough. That wasn't going to cut it. So he actually sent me to the training yard over there with Dean. That's where I met, Steven, Ramon, Trey, all those guys. And I think I did a split camp between Gracie Baja and the training yard for probably 3 or 4 fights straight.
Let me just say on record really quick too, the guys, if you're in Jacksonville and you're able to do a split camp between Gracie Baja and the training yard, you, sir, are a savage. Just because I'm telling you right now that the amount of knowledge that Dean and Roberto have, it's uncanny. It's unreal. I have a lot of love for both of those guys. I'm getting goosebumps literally just thinking about like the impact they've had on my career and subsequently like combat night in general. Their personalities, their character, the men that they are. You're not just getting like great instruction, but you're also getting like foundational like manhood, like, yo, this is what it is to be a man. And I don't say that lightly about those guys. I think they even called Dean Master Yoda, like, so it's like, yo, this guy, and he was a savage too. He could have had a very successful pro career, and he just chose not to. He chose to have a giant farm a regenerative farm in his backyard, and coach rock climbing and guys who were really passionate about jiu-jitsu. So anyway, sorry not to cut you off, but you did a camp between those two. That's awesome.
Yeah, and going back and forth, that obviously changed my whole game. Just from, I guess I'm going to hug this guy, try and hold him down and see what I can do. I started working stand-up with him. I was working, stand-up and grappling and the MMA portion also with Roberto. But I will say this, one thing that's always been really, really important to me. And it's kind of shocking to see how many fighters don't think about this. I guess they don't think about it, or at least I don't see it as much. Who is in my corner on my fight day is a huge deal to me. It is a huge deal to me. Man, I remember I fought, I think it was Charlie Herrera. It was like my third amateur fight. I had to have been no older than 23 years old, you know. A backstory to that. When I was like 13, this isn't even a place anymore. I didn't break in. I snuck in to a club called Plush.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's not even a place anymore. I snuck in basically just in a group, like a swarm of people. And I was 13 years old, and I watched Charlie Herrera beat the shit out of some guy. And they were doing like this little, you know, ring thing right in the middle, like fights in the middle. And back then it was different, you know. And I've had training partners like real OGs, like, you know, Jacob Brunel and, you know, all those guys. And they used to tell me, they were like, man, it's different now. Even the amateurs today, it's different. Everybody cuts weight. Everybody's training like a professional, or for the most part, you know, the way they should be. And he's like, back then, you know, you didn't cut weight. You fought at what you weighed.
Yeah.
You know, for the most part, some places really didn't even weigh you. They're like, hey, how much you weigh? You know? And he said, man, they used to walk up to guys at the bar and be like, hey, do you want to fight? You know, sign this waiver. And they get in there, man. And I remember watching that. And I was like, wow, that guy's really good. And I remember where I was sitting when I got the text. I think it was from you or Richard. And you guys are like, hey, you know, what do you think about Charlie? And one thing about me that I can still say to this day is I have never, ever been presented with a name where I was like, what do you think? No, I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Him, cool. You know, if you or Richard brought it to me or Roberto brought it to me, that was all I needed. That was the nod for me. Like, hey, not only do I think this is a good fight, but I know that there's at least some way, shape, or form that you will beat this guy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I never got nervous when it came to that. I never got picky on who I fought. You know, I obviously had a lot of last minute replacement guys, and it's just is what it is. But I've never ever shied away from anybody. That being said, I remember seeing that name, and I was like, I know that name. Where have I heard that name? And then I saw a picture of him, and I was like, oh my God. And I looked at Roberto, and he's like, oh, that's a real good fight for you. And that was the one and only time that I was like, we need to wrestle all camp. Because I remember watching that fight when I was like 13, and he like flying sidekicked some dude into oblivion. And I was like, absolutely not. No. And so I did the camp with Dean, and I did the camp with Roberto. And going into this fight, I was super confident. You know, I had a very high level of respect for him, obviously. And I will tell you this. Other than the punch that basically finished me in my last fight, which if you watch that fight, it was several, because he hit me once. I think I hit a knee, came up. I think I threw one punch, and then he hit me like 15 more times. You know, I had no legs under me, but at least I was not on my back. But other than that punch, man, that is to this day, I think the hardest I've ever been hit in my life. He only hit me one time, but I remember going in and I was like, I want to dance around. I want to move around with him. I want to show my striking ability. And I walked in and I threw a jab and an inside leg kick, and I watched him put his back foot up against the cage and roll his shoulder as I leaned in for my jab. And I was like, oh shit, man, he uncorked one right into my eye. And immediately I turned into a wrestler. I was like, nope, we're grappling now. He hit me and I kind of fell into him, into the double. And, you know, I ended up finishing that fight like in the first 2 minutes with like a triangle armbar or something like that. But back to what I was originally saying, that fight leading into that, I was so confident because I had Dean, Roberto, and Nelson Blanco in my corner. And for those of you who don't know who Nelson Blanco is, he was like 8 or 9-0. He had 2 belts, fought a lot of really tough guys. And then obviously, he was in the Marines, so he had to kind of go where his career took him. But man, that dude was a freaking force back in his day. And he helped run a lot of my camps alongside Roberto. But having those 3 in my corner is respectful as I was trying to be towards, my opponent. It just gave me like a superpower. Like, I'm not scared of nobody because if these 3 guys are behind me, like, and they think I can do this, I know I can do this kind of thing. That's why, like, if you look at my corner now, like, typically I'll have, Roberto, Gene Batista, Preston Parsons, or Kuba Kazuba, you know what I mean? All of those guys have cornered me in the past. I've always, held that real near and dear to my heart. Like, hey, I come from a good camp. I know that I worked hard. I know that I've been doing what I was supposed to be doing. So I always go in with the utmost confidence when I have those guys.
Yeah, as a fighter, it's super important who you're going to have in your corner. And every fighter, in my opinion, every fighter should have these 3 people in their corner. They got to have someone who knows how to strike. They have to have somebody who knows how to grapple. And they have to have somebody who just has their back. It's their boy. It's their homie. It's their fucking cheerleader. It's, it's that guy. And if you're lucky, all 3 of them are that guy. If you're lucky, all 3 of them are the guys that'll keep it real with you and aren't going to bullshit you. And you have 3 of those guys in your corner, and you don't just have the grappler and the striker and then your homie. If you're really lucky, you have someone, all 3 of those people are near and dear to your heart. They don't want to let you down. You don't want to let them down. It's very important. Some guys do just go into fights with whoever in their corner. And I get it. Some guys are savages and they can just do that. Mike Perry's won fights with his girl in his corner. But again, is that someone you trust? Is that someone you hold near and dear? Is that someone you don't want to let down? So maybe that's not wrong either. I have seen guys show up and have nobody in their corner. Crazy to me, but they also still win fights sometimes, but yeah, it's really important. Fighters, what Korey said to start that whole thing was that, like, it's important who you have in your corners. You can't just have anyone in your corner. It's important to have people in your corner. If you can have the guy, obviously the grappler needs to know something about striking, and the striking needs to know something about grappling. They need to be able to put it all together, but it's very important you have someone who knows how to grapple, someone who knows how to strike, and someone that knows you like the back of their hand. I think if you can have those 3 guys in your corner, you're doing really, really well. And if you're lucky, all 3 of them know you like the back of their hand, and you know them as well. And there's a bond there that's just unshakable. Not to go too far into the relatable scene with you, but I had the same story, but I lost my fight. I remember I had Richard Cox, Matt Muncy, and Josh Saman in my corner when I fought Gian Herrera. Rest in peace, Gian and Josh. And I remember I'm getting the shit beat out of me. Okay. I ended up having a really bad weight cut, but the doctor was like, "Are you sure you want to fight?" Richard's like, "Yo, bud, have you had enough water?" Everyone's like, and I start hitting mitts and I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm dying." And I'm like, you, biggest fear is getting tired in a fight. So my conditioning is always on point. Whatever reason it's not, I go take a piss test and they're like, "This is pee." It's like brown,
Like orange.
Yeah. Like I ended up having rhabdo. And so anyways, I'm hitting mitts. I'm like, "Oh, I'm dying. I'm dying. And they're like, "Are you sure you're good?" I'm like, I'm good. I go out there and I know I'm exhausted, but I'm fucking, I got fought 3 rounds like this. I felt like a piece of, I just felt shitty. Sometime in like the second round, I get caught, I get my back taken and I get put in a full rear naked choke, and he turns me to my corner. So my face is like, I'm getting choked out, and he turns me to the corner and I'm looking at my boys. Bro, they're all looking at me like I'm defeated. Oh, we're about to watch our friend get choked out in front of all of us. No one's saying anything. All right. I turn, but I see my boys and I'm like, I am not about to get choked out in front of the homies. This ain't happening. He has a full rear naked choke, Korey. It's behind my head and I'm choking. I'm getting choked here. And I remember being like, "Not today." And I grab the hand and grab the other hand and I pull it off and I take it off. And as I'm doing this, you can see my corner is like, "Oh yeah, fight the hand." But I'll never forget, man, turning to them and seeing the look of just disappointment. Not maybe in me, but like that's how I felt. I was like, "Oh, these fools think I'm about to get choked out."
Like disbelief, kind of.
Yeah, and I was like, nah, not today, brother. It ain't happening on my watch. So I end up, defending the rear naked choke and getting out of the choke. I still got beat. I got my I had my moments. I wobbled him. I dropped. It's a very good fight. A lot of people will tell me to this day it was like one of the best fights they've seen in Florida. So it was still a good fight. My goal is always to put on a good fight. But I won't forget, man, that it does something to you to have people in your corner that you really love and hold near and dear and care about. It does something to you whenever you see them. That's why fighters are always yelling like, yo, bring them to your corner. Get them close to your corner, because there's an energy there, there's an aura there that is, it's you can't explain it. But I know for a fact, had he turned me to his corner, I probably would have been to sleep, because I'm going to sleep. Like, that's just it. If I can't get out of a choke, you're putting me to sleep. But he turned me to my corner, and I'll never forget the look on those guys' faces and just thinking like, man, they really don't believe in me right now. It might have been Jim Ehlers. It might have been Jim in my corner. It was, I don't know, but it was three of my like near and dear close friends. I know it was Matt and Josh. Richard was there for sure, showing a lot of love and support. But yeah, cornermen are important, and it's nice, especially in between rounds when all the mayhem is going on, to have someone you can talk to and that you trust and that it's like, do you want to be talking about like your what you're messing up on with someone you've never met? Like, no, you got to have a good corner.
Yeah, especially if they don't even like, So I've been asked a couple times, hey, this guy showed up. He has no one to coach him, no one to corner him. Can you corner him? And I'm like, I don't want to be rude, and I want to be helpful, I guess. But I'm like, yeah, you guys got a shirt I can borrow, so I ain't got to walk out there with my gym shirt on. Like,
yeah.
And I've had two really, really good turnouts off of that, but I've had some that were like, I'm glad I changed shirts.
What's your win percentage of cornering random people? Probably like what, 20%?
Yeah, 20, 30. Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
That's higher than most, I would bet.
Yeah. Luckily, the few that did win actually ended up just coming to our school afterwards.
Okay, nice.
Like, yeah, I like the way you cornered me. You were saying a lot of good things. I didn't know what most of that meant, but I like what you were saying.
That's nice.
And that was always, a good feeling. But yeah, I never understood that. Like, someone who doesn't know your game, someone who's not familiar with you. I give you a really good example. I cannot remember his last name, but he fought Clay Jackson. He fought Apple Pie and Tally. His first name is Bear. But he didn't have a corner. And
he was undefeated too.
He was undefeated. He was really good. And I remember Richard walking up and going, hey man, I know that you were, kind of done for the night, probably going home, something like that. Can you corner the main event? And I was like, the main event doesn't have a corner? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, sure. Give me a combat night shirt. And but I go in and I start talking to him, and I'm like, hey man, what's your game plan? What have you been thinking about? We kind of talk about it a little bit, make sure he gets his hands wrapped. I go out and I start cornering him, and he did exceptionally well, actually. And he was receiving what I was saying. He was listening to what I was saying. And to the point to where Richard had actually leaned over while I was like kind of coaching this dude through what to do. And he's like, hey, Korey. And I was like, yeah. He's like, shut the fuck up. And but and then Clay ended up winning that fight by knockout. But I never understood, that concept. For me, I have had one time actually. And it was my amateur debut. I had a coach who was one of our jiu-jitsu coaches, really, really good. He gave me my blue belt, I think, and he was a Gracie Baja guy. He was with Roberto, obviously. But the way he coached me, and with that being my first fight, that was, everything was chaos. Everything was chaos. My boys are yelling at me. This guy's beating my ass. I can hear my mom and my wife yelling at me. I can hear this dude's family above me yelling at me. You know what I mean? So it was a lot. But one thing I do remember about it is I hated that type of coaching, because he just yelled the whole time, like top of his lungs. He's a Brazilian guy. He coached it like it was a jiu-jitsu match. You yell, and it just didn't do it for me. And then after that, I remember every single fight I would get nervous as I walk out. I get the jitters, and as soon as the cage door would close, I could hear Roberto's voice, and it was so calm. And it dawned on me like, oh, that dude's over there screaming at me, and it's making me panic, And Roberto's like, hey, do this. This is here if you want it. Look out for that. Hey, blah, blah, blah. And after that, man, it literally changed my whole outlook on a fight. Like, hey, dude, stop thinking so much. Listen to the dude that's right behind you that literally, for one, damn near taught you everything you know. It taught me everything I know about MMA. You know what I mean? And like you said, he knows me like the back of his hand. You know what I mean? We have the same style because I came up under him, like you said, from basically a young adult to a grown man. But because of that, it just, I would say that's a huge part of me winning. I can, as calm as his voice is and as like monotone as it is, I can hear it through everything. I can hear it through the crowd. I can hear it through the other guy's corner screaming at him. I can hear that calm voice. It's so weird. I'll be on the other side of the cage. And when I fought Quentin Bray, I took him down. And it was funny because you could hear him talking when I go back and watch the fight, And as he was saying it, I was doing it. Like literally he was giving directions, but I was almost like just right in line with everything he was saying with my timing from the other side of the cage. So I think that, having the guys there, like you said, that know you like the back of their hand, but I think the style of coaching is very, very important because I'm like that. I don't like the screaming. I don't like the yelling. But some people need that. So I think both are equally, important or have their place, I guess.
No, man, you're very right. It's funny too, like talking about how you like being cornered is another thing that I think guys miss out on as well. Is like communicate with your coaches. Tell them like, hey, I do better when you do this, or I do better when you do that. Some of the best corners that I witness, like I watch, Mike Lee out of the jungle is a really good corner. He's very calm. Mm-hmm. He's very gives very detailed instructions.
Very clear, yeah.
Very clear cut. And who's another one that Hank Porche, he gives really good instruction. Roberto's another good one, gives good instruction.
Even Dean.
Yeah, Dean's a great one. And then there's guys, like Smiley and Julian who don't say a whole lot. They say very little, but obviously they're guys like it. They're doing well. But and then there's some screamers that are just like, and it's like, it's even worse whenever they're screaming things to do, not how to do it. It's like, if you've screamed, get up 20 times and they haven't got up yet, I have an idea. Maybe they don't know how to get up. Mm-hmm. Maybe you should explain to them how to get up. Hey, get to the cage. All right, we're to the cage now. Get your feet on hips. Start your technical stand up. Start your frames. Give them instruction, give them details on how to progress to the next step. And guess what? That also starts with you teaching them the right details. So if you haven't taught them how to do this thing you're asking them to do, good luck. There's very few times where I've taught somebody. I mean, I can really think of like one time where I've taught somebody a move in the moment and they did it. Do you feel like a genius? Oh yeah, you feel like you feel like you're unstoppable as a coach at that point in time. But realistically speaking, you have to give them nice, clear instruction. I think I'm with you on that. I want someone who's going to be nice, clear instruction. I myself as a corner sometimes do get into like the yelling, but it's like if they're like missing a kick, for instance, or if they're they're just ending the combo with the wrong, like you could have added a kick. Let's add a kick to that. It happens.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm the same way. And I think that honestly, I think it comes with time. You know what I mean? Obviously he's, Roberto's been doing this a really long time, much longer than me. I think one of the best compliments he ever gave me was one of my partners, Kuba. He's a 2-time PFL European lightweight champion. He's with the main league, the international league, I guess, world league, I guess, or whatever, with PFL. And he just had a fight in Jersey, and we're walking out, and we've been preparing for this fight, you know, for 2 or 3 months. He came off a really bad injury with his toe. He like pulled every tendon in his toe his last championship fight in France. And you know, we're really excited about this fight. This is going to be a dog fight, and it was. But as we're walking out, the commission walks out, and they're like, "All right, Cuba, Corey Taylor." I raise my hand. They're like, "Jean Batista." He raises his hand, and he's like, "All right." And he goes, "Who are you?" He's like, I'm Roberto Quintero." And he goes, "I don't have your name. You're not going." And this is like at the stairs to walk down the ramp to the cage.
I'd be furious.
Talk about a mind fuck. Like, oh yeah, I'm glad that you prepared and game planned, and you and, you know, your coaches, you know, but your head MMA coach have this really good connection, really good game plan, and literally 10 seconds before you walk out, you're not allowed to go. I was kind of baffled, honestly. And I was trying to push Kubo away. Like, hey, don't listen to what they're talking about. Hopefully they'll fix this. Hopefully they'll make it right. And, you know, and he's staying super composed and being very polite to this athletic commissioner, which was not being reciprocated at all. Because apparently in Jersey, everyone's an asshole. But man, this dude was just unexceptionally rude, I guess. Or exceptionally rude, should I say. There was nothing unexceptional about it. But you know, they're trying to figure it out. And I guess the PFL didn't get the paperwork in or whatever. But, you know, he submitted everything he needed. And they're trying to figure this out, get everything sorted. And I'm kind of panicking, but I look at Roberto and he's so calm and he's like, "Hey, it's okay. If they don't get it, I'll be in the stands watching. It's okay. Don't worry about it." And I'm looking at him like, "What do you mean don't worry about it? You know, this is a big deal, you know, and I'm not even the one fighting." And he goes, "You literally know everything that I would say. You know when I'd say it and all this stuff. So I trust you. You got it." And it wasn't just that he, you know, completely, you know, gave me all of the trust that he had to do that. I think it was the stage that he did it at. Like, dude, this is not, you know, an amateur debut at a regional show. This is, you know, this dude's a multi-time, you know, world champ on a really, really big stage. This is national television. You know, this is huge. And you're just like, "No, it's cool. You got it, man."
So did it get figured out?
Literally, as they were announcing his name, the commissioner goes, "Oh, I'll see what happened. PFL dropped the ball. They didn't give me your name." The lady from PFL was sitting there like trying to let him know, like, "Hey, it's right here. It's right here." And he's like, "I don't see it." It was crazy. He was not hearing nothing. He wasn't listening to nothing. But they ended up figuring it out. Thank God.
Unfortunately, man, commissioners as a whole, it's not really just, it's not just New Jersey. It's everywhere I've ever been. Commissioners as a whole are just pricks, man. I mean, it's across the board. There are some that are cool. Don't get me wrong. There's some that are cool. I will say Florida has, and I'm not saying that to be a brown noser, Florida has some great commissioners. But even some of them can be pricks.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere I've been, like, you know, I've been Vegas. I've been out of the country several times, you know, dealing with these guys. And I will say, it could be because kind of like what you say, maybe a little bit of familiarity. You know, I've seen these guys around for almost 10 years, you know. They've never really been rude or just not polite or unprofessional in any type of way like that with me. So I will say that, yeah, I think we're pretty fortunate to have the commission that we have here in Florida. And again, I'm not brown nosing. That's just a fact from all the other places I've been and dealt with other athletic commissions.
Yeah, it's a you know, and man, that's part of it too. You know, these guys when they're going to fight and they're traveling out of state, you're dealing with different commissioners, and they can be real pricks. And like I tell guys all the time, you know, when you're fighting with us, like we do things like early weigh-ins. We try to take care of you guys, get you guys in, get you guys out. I had someone just last week ask me about weigh-ins. They never fought for us before, and they were like, "Oh, what time weigh-ins gonna be?" I'm like, "Oh, they're gonna be at 1." They're like, 1 o'clock. Well, like, what time are we gonna get on the scale? And I was like, 1 o'clock. Like, come to the weigh-ins, have all your paperwork, done. Don't come without your licenses and stuff, and you'll get on the scale at 1 o'clock. And they're like, man, are you sure, man? My last weigh-in, I didn't weigh in until 9 p.m., bro. He's like, I'm just saying, man, like, if you're gonna have me there at 1, like, please don't leave me out until 4 or 5 to weigh. And I was like, bro, you will weigh in when you get there. I can't be any more clear about this. You're gonna weigh in when you arrive. And that can be, that's a joint operation there, because one, it's us making sure we get the early weigh in, and then two, it's the commissioners being cool and not being pricks about letting a guy weigh in. I've had them before previously where they're like, oh, well, we can't weigh him until the other opponent gets here. And I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Why is that? Well, he might want to watch him. His opportunity to watch him make weight expired when he didn't show up on time. You don't punish the guy who did the things right because of the guy that did things wrong. So, and they're like, oh, I mean, at the end of the day, it's your show. So if you're cool, I'm like, you're the commissioner. Like, you're the guy that says they did or didn't make weight. I don't care if the other guy didn't see it. He knew what time weigh-in started at. So if you can do that legally, then you do that. Weigh him in. Like, yeah, it's no problem. Cool. So we've had growing pains over the years, and even doing the early weigh-ins. At first it was like, oh, well, we can't do that. UFC's doing it. You going to tell them no when they come to Florida? Oh, well, you got a good point. And it's like, yeah, I know. So we want early weigh-ins. All right, cool. We'll start doing early weigh-ins. All it's going to be an extra $150. Cool. I'll pay the extra whatever money. It's not that big of a deal to me. It's worth it for the guys to get in early and get weighed in, before 7 o'clock at night when you're fighting the next day at 7 o'clock. Like, 24 hours to rehydrate is just crazy to me. Also, the extreme weight cutting is crazy. But yeah, it's been really cool working with the Florida Commission, because they do they listen to you and they understand and they're able to work with you. It's not just like, this is the rule and this is the way that it is. I can interpret the rule one way, they can interpret it one way, and we can talk about it and determine, like, okay, well, this is where we can do this, or this is what we can do over here. So I enjoy working with the Florida Commission more than any other commission, and I've worked with quite a few now. I do a lot of subcontracting with shows. I've been in Georgia, West Virginia, Texas. I've helped out, and man, some of these commissioners are it's insane what you're having to deal with. And I've watched them talk to fighters who are cutting weight and dying, and they're just talking to them like they're dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, yo, chill out, because that dog you're talking to right now is the reason you got a job tonight. Obviously Florida commissioners don't do that, but I've been in other states where it's happened, and it's like, man, you can't do that. You just can't. Like, and even some of our commissioners, I've had to have conversations where I'm like, they're trying to rush them during the walkout, and I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Get out of here, bro. Like, this dude put 8 weeks of work in for you to come in here and have one night to make some money and have a job. Like, you don't have a right to rush him. Oh, but your show's running. No. You're right. My show. So if I say chill out, then chill out. You shouldn't be rushing fighters. Like, let them enjoy their moment. It took you 8 weeks to get to this 15-minute moment. Maybe it's a 25-minute moment. If it goes full distance, all the things. But man, 8 weeks worth of work for 25 minutes is insane. So the last thing I want to do is rush you guys. And you see that happening in a lot of states where people are just talking to them some kind of way. And it's like, man, I know all the work and effort that's gone into this moment. And I don't want to watch a commissioner take it from you, someone who works with us take it from you. It's very important to me that you guys are number one, and you guys are held on a pedestal when it comes to fight night.
Man, I'm kind of curious. So now that you say the commission is that way, doing a lot of UFC events and PFL events and stuff like that, every time you get to the tunnel, they kind of, I won't say rehearse, but they let you know before you even walk out, like, hey, we're going to cut their music, whatever. Your music starts playing. I'm going to count down to 5 and you start walking. You know what I mean? And to me, the first time I was ever in that situation, I was like, it's fucking rude, and because the only experience I'd ever had was with you guys at the time. And I was like, Mitch would never make me, I need to hear the entire 3.5 minute guitar solo from Freebird before I make this walk, damn it, and but you get out there and, any fighter knows camp is tough. One of the hardest decisions you make is your walkout song, because it's got to have a really good intro. It's, what I mean? It's, whatever kind of vibe you're feeling. a lot of that gets taken away when you get up there and you're like, hey, that's a really good song. I'm gonna count to 3 and you better have your ass walk into that cage. You know what I mean? It cuts your song like in a third. It's like, man, that sucked. But all right. But now that you're saying that it's kind of the commission, I am curious if when the UFC events come to Florida, is it the organization or is it, the commission that's still kind of like, let's go.
That's the organization. They're on TV schedule. So they have a time that has to happen. You know what I mean? Now, at the end of the day too, it's like, yo, if you're the fighter, when they say walk and you choose to stand there, guess what? What are they going to do? Push you? What are they going to do? I've been there. I've been that asshole. Or they're like, walk. And I just look at them like they're stupid. Bruh, walk. I'll walk when I want to walk. Straight up. I've done that multiple times because when I was fighting actively, commissioners again are pushy, and they're pushy because that's how they're used to being, like, shows being ran. Even if it's not my show, even if it's not a TV show, they're just used to be like, go. Let's get out of here as soon as we can. And we find other areas to cut time and get rid. Like, we don't do these long intermissions in between fights. Our events run very smooth. And, but I remember one time we had a fighters meeting. It was my Muay Thai debut, and we had a fighters meeting, and I'm like, we get back to finally warm up. They're like, oh, fight start in 30 minutes. And I was the first fight of the night. And I was like, nah. I was like, not if I'm the first fight of the night. Commissioner's like, what do you mean? Like, show starts at 7, it's 6:30. Like, you got to be ready. And I'm getting my hands wrapped, just starting to get my hands wrapped. And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to get my hands wrapped. Well, whose fault is that? And I said, well, that'd be y'all's fault because the fighters meeting didn't start till 6 o'clock. And now it's 6:30. It's over. And I was like, so it's not my fault. And they're like, promoter comes back. I heard there's an issue. It's no walking hands. I was like, there's no issue. I was like, I'm not walking at 7 o'clock. They're wrapping my hands. And he's like, what do you need? And I was like, I need time to warm up. And I was like, there's no issue though. I was like, but I'm going to warm up. And I was like, you can skip my fight or whatever. I don't care. I'm going to warm up. And he's like, all right, we'll wait till you're ready. What time can you be ready by? And I was like, I'll be ready by 7:15. And he's like, all right, cool. And the commissioners, man, they were just being mad about it and stuff. And I'm like, yo, I don't care. I don't care that you're upset that you're going to miss the Golden Girls tonight. Like, get out of here, bro. And it doesn't bother me at all. And I sat back there and I warmed up. Actually, Vince McGinnis was back there. There's a lot of guys back there that night whenever I made that debut. Angel was one of my cornermen. I beat the living utter crap out of him. With no shins. He was like holding hands, and I would throw a head kick, boom, and just like my foot would crash behind the back of his head. And I was just like, whatever. Like, I'm getting warm. I'm getting ready for a fight. Angel's been there for me for a lot of fights. It's funny, and he's taken everything, right? All the warm-ups. The warm-ups are like, one guy's got to go pretty hard.
I was gonna say, they can get brutal for the I guess the dummy or the pad holder or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and I've been elbowed in warm-ups. It's part of the game. Like, if you're there for that fighter, again, corner needs to be people that really care about you because you're gonna have to do some mean stuff to get that final push. And I'll never forget, out of all the things, Angel let me kick him in the head, kick him in the leg, keep him, stick him in the stomach, guillotine him, you name it. I was warming up in Georgia for a fight. Angel, I went to go for a mounted go-go plata. And he literally shoved, I went from an arm bar and I went to sit up to to the mounted go-go plata. And he was like, nope, get the fuck off me. You ain't doing that to me. He's like, not doing it. Like, he's like, anything else?
You want to work some more head kicks?
Yeah, I'm like, all right, I'll go ahead and stand up then, bub. But yeah, he literally is one of the best, one of my best friends and training partners anyone could ever ask for. But I'll never forget, I went to go for that mounted go-go plata, and he just was, nah, like, how dare you try to hit the what do they call it, the Aoki plata, I think, because they hit it on the Diaz brother. But yeah, anyways, I don't know how I got on that segue there at all. What were you talking about? Perfect, thank you. Did you get that text message? I sent you a text message.
But
perfect.
I think we were talking about commissions and stuff like that, but no, honestly, you're right though. And kind of circle back to your corner and your team. You know what I mean? And them being there for you and having your back. Like, I've had to be there for several different guys. And I can tell you firsthand that shit can suck sometimes, you know? I think we were in France, who was, you know, doing his shakeout, and I'm talking to him while he's going through it. And I don't know if you know this about Kuba. He is a rather large 155er.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I remember I've never in my life seen anything like this. Literally less than 24 hours before, this man looked like he had just escaped Auschwitz. Like, just no definite, like, just I was like, that's a zombie on that skull right there. That's a zombie. 6 hours later, he looked like freaking Bane. I was like, oh my God. He grabbed a hold of me, and I was just thinking in my head, I was like, I'm really glad we're teammates and that I don't actually have to fight this guy. That would suck. And but we're going through things, and for this one, this was the first time the PFL was letting him throw elbows. So, you know, I'm trying to remind him. I should have kept my mouth shut, because he gets mount, and he's, you know, kind of touching me a little bit. It's like, hey man, don't forget you got an elbow right there. And he like posted on my face and dropped one right on my nose, and just, and he's like, oh, your face was a lot closer than I thought it was. I was like, let's get back up, and we can move around a little bit more. And I'm sucking the blood out of my nose and trying, you know, which, you know, that's one situation where with me where, you know, I completely understand, like, hey, being that guy kind of sucks sometimes, but, you know, Kuba will be cornering me for this fight. You know, Kuba has been with me for the majority of this camp, you know, and I know that he's given a lot, but he's taken a lot too, you know, for the whole thing. And, you know, I'm gonna give a shout out to my, I guess, my doppelganger. He kind of wants to look like me, I guess, but Mikey, you know, Mikey Conlon, you know, fought him almost 6 years ago, something like that, 5-6 years ago. And man, since then we just kind of like bonded, man. Like, and he's like my brother. He's like family to me. And I can't think of a single fight I've had since I fought Mikey. Literally, the fight I had after I fought Mikey, he was in my corner. You know, whether it be, when I say in my corner, you know, whether it be he's in the back with me, helping me warm up, he's walking out with me, and then, you know, I got my usual 3 corner guys. You know what I mean? But anytime I ever ask him, like, hey, I need someone, like, he'll call. He's the only dude that calls me and checks in to make sure that I have everything I need. And if I don't, what do I need? He'll get it. You know, my last fight, that was the worst and biggest weight cut I'd ever had. You know, coming off that injury with the bicep tear, right after that, you know, I had me and my wife had a baby, and then rolled right into the holidays, and then kind of getting back into it, man. And I don't like to talk about it too much, but I may or may not have started that camp at like 205 and cut to 55 and 8 weeks.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah. And man, I was sitting in that sauna, and I think the last 2 sits, I'm almost in tears, and I'm just, God, please, let this be the last one. God, I can't do no more. God, please. Mikey's rubbing ice on my head going, God loves you, G. God loves you, G. We're almost done. You're almost there. But, you know, he's that guy, man. He's that guy. And then the next day we're doing the shakeout, and I put it on his ass. Not even like intentionally, just, you know, I'm game. I'm ready for this fight. I'm ready to go, to the point to where he's almost like, hey, you still love me, right? And he's like, yeah. He's like, all right, you know, I'm not trying to hurt you, right? And I was like, I love you, dog. God loves you, G. Like, I appreciate what you do for me. But man,
start rubbing his head.
Yeah, I started rubbing his head. Anybody got some ice? Like, you know, but no, man, I think it's super important that you have those guys there that are willing to, you know, kind of take that, and then when it's, you know, their turn, you got to be there for them. So I think that's very important.
Yeah, and you know, the one thing you don't have experience on is cornering women. The hardest fighter to corner is a woman, hands down. I promise you, I have not been beat up worse by any man, even close, as I have a woman getting ready for her fight.
I have literally seen reels of this, and it has entertained me for hours.
Yo, Hannah Goldie's a good friend of mine, and I've been a part of her career. Pre UFC, like I used to, was her main training partner for a long time. Obviously, having kids and schedules and stuff changed, so we're not as involved as we used to be. But I promise you, as hard as it is to corner a man with all the things that they need, and then being their warm up partner, cornering a woman will make you second guess life. I have been elbowed by Hannah. I have been stuck in my jaw by Hannah. She's literally like, man, slammed me on my head. She's done all these mean things. And it's like, as a man, am I going to really complain about a 115-pound female beating me up? Like, I want to. There's moments where I'm like, help me. I'm looking over at Julian with these eyes,
And
like
he's laughing, by the way.
he's dying laughing. Yeah. He's like, man, he's like, I can't believe she just did that. And I'm like, bro, can someone tell her?
Something, maybe.
Yeah, can someone please help? So, as hard as it is to corner a man, it is twice as hard to corner a woman. Even going through camp with them, because now, I've got emotional in camps. I can't lie. I think every guy, when you're pushing your body to the limits and you're eating scarce amounts of food, you're going to be emotional. Well, add in being a woman or being a female, and that's no knock on women. You're emotional creatures. It's just we're logical. Y'all are emotional. This is the way that God made us. But then they have a bad sparring day. A guy has a bad sparring day. It's like, hey man, pick your head up. I'll see you tomorrow. A woman has a bad sparring day. It's like, pick your head up. I'll see you tomorrow. They're like, will you though?
Yeah. You still care. No, man.
Why'd you let them do that to me today?
You're supposed to be coaching me.
Was that on purpose? I heard you tell her what to do. It's like, well, I was telling her what your opponent's gonna do, and yeah, well, she beat me with it. And it's like,
man, no. So early on in my amateur career, being at the yard with Steven and
Shelby.
Love you, Shelby. But oh man, like that was my first experience ever with training with another female getting ready for a fight. And I remember the first time she ever like broke down. It worried me. I was like, are you okay? Hey? And me being a man and automatically being protective and a little defensive, I like flip. I'm like, who are you just sparring with? Was it him? Like, and she's just like not really talking to me or whatever. And then it dawned on me. I was like, oh, this wasn't like, she's not hurt. She's she's upset. And hey, man, I have been there. I literally can remember almost every time I have been like, I'm not gonna cry, no bitch. I'm a grown ass man. I'm gonna walk out of here.
What's your worst emotional outburst you've had during fight camp? That's a good question. You've had to. I've had two that come right at the top of my head as soon as I thought of the question, but I want to hear yours first. Emotional, just like you're like, oh, that was ridiculous, Korey. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. So Roberto was out of town. I think that he was coaching wrestling with his son, and one of my longtime friends, probably best friend in the world. I had my boy Drew with me, and Drew was there, kind of running the Shark Tank, but it wasn't like a Shark Tank. It was with big gloves and shin pads. You know what I mean? And it was just stand up, because that's definitely what I needed the most of. I could already kind of grapple. You know what I mean? And I'm not thinking nothing of it. I'm just going with these guys, and I'm actually like touching them up real nice. And again, back then, it was mostly jiu-jitsu, and then there was like a small striking program that like Rob Ingram kind of ran. And the majority of those guys, or any of the dudes that had any kind of ability, were like, middleweights, light heavyweights. You know what I mean? And they weren't fighters per se, but they had experience in striking. So I had to go with those guys. And they all obviously hit hard, which is where I think I kind of got lost in the difference between sparring and fighting really early on in my career. And we don't need to bring up that story at all. But
no, we will. We'll talk about it real quick.
We don't have to. It's okay. We're talking about my experience. Okay. Man, I start like, I'm touching these guys up. I'm hitting fast. I'm hitting hard. I'm feeling good. And then it's like the 8th round, and I'm like, 8 rounds. All right. And I'm like, hey, man, when am I going to switch up? He's like, no, just keep going. I'm like, all right. I keep going. 10 round, 12th round, 16th round. At this point, I am literally doing kind of whatever I want because the other guys are now tired. And I'm towards like just past the middle of my camp. So my cardio is fantastic, you know, and I'm technically the only fighter in the group. So I actually did have a little bit more technical ability than they did. And I'm moving around and I'm touching these guys. And I remember I literally fainted. The guy threw, I pulled, and I hit him with a real hard hook. And he turned his head and he just kind of moved forward. And I punched him to the gut. And I moved and I hit him again to the gut. And I was like, man, fuck this. This is fucking stupid. And I slung my gloves off and I kicked a trash can in the air and I slung a gate open, threw the gate back. Luckily, I installed that gate where it was, so I knew how to fix it because I'm pretty sure I broke it. I'm kicking other bags over. I go in the bathroom. I headbutt the locker. I'm crying. But then, like, I'm like, compose yourself, man. You're good. You're good. You're a man. You're good. You're not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. And I swear to God, right as I was saying it, my buddy walked in and he goes, hey, man, you all right? Like, man, I'm so hungry. I'm so tired. I don't want to do this shit no more. I want to go home. I'm done. And, dude, he laughed so hard. He's like, come here, Bubba. It's okay. I know. We did this on purpose to see how long it took you to break. To which I was like, I'm going to get you in my truck in the parking lot, you asshole. Like, I called Roberto because I was so embarrassed because he wasn't there. And I was like, I know Drew's going to tell him.
Yeah.
I know that someone's going to tell him how I behaved. And I'm not supposed to behave this way. I'm supposed to stay composed. And I called him and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know before somebody else does. I kind of lost it last night. I panicked. Kicked over a trash can. There's a dent in your locker, you know. And he goes, "That means you're doing it right." Like, I hate all of you, all of you, man. This is bullcrap. But yeah, that was. It's funny. That was my worst one, but it was also my first one.
Yeah,
it was my first one. I had never really experienced that before, and it was. I guess I tried so hard to just hold it in for so long. You know what I mean? That it finally all kind of just poured out. But other than that, occasionally I'll have a moment, you know, I'm standing on the cage and I'll go, I'm good. I'm going to finish this shit. I'm going to go home. I'm going to relax. I don't want to talk to nobody after. I might sit in the driveway for 30 minutes before I go inside. Like, yeah. You know, but
it's hilarious because my 3 moments, none of them happened in training. Like, I've had moments for sure where one of them did, but literally my top 3 most embarrassing emotional outbursts during fight camp. I would say the number one most embarrassing outburst was me and Brandy. She's leaving my house. She doesn't hug me before she leaves. And I remember getting up and being like, I open the door. She's walking down the stairs. She's like, at the bottom, like, what's going on? She's like,
are you leaving me?
It's like, what? And I was like, you really just going to leave like that? And I'm getting emotional. And she's like, are you okay? And I was like, it'd be nice to get a hug before you leave. I'll give you a hug. She's like, no, if you don't want to, you don't have to give me a hug. Like, she's walking back up the stairs. And she was like, no, I'll give you a hug. And I was like, good, because I want a hug. I hug her. And I'm like holding back tears. And I was like, she leaves and I walk inside. I'm like, what is wrong with you? What did I do? I text her, hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that. Another time I got done training and someone had took a bite out of my post-training snack, my apple, and they put it backwards. It was Jim Eller's. So I grabbed my apple, right? Grab the apple. I go to turn it, and I was like, who took a bite of my apple? And we're all in the locker room after training. You know, dudes are like half naked. Some of them are probably naked. And I'm like, seriously, who the fuck took a bite out of my apple? I'm like mad, bro. I'm like holding an apple, and I'm like, I gotta fight in 2 weeks, and y'all motherfuckers think it's funny to take a bite out of my apple? The fuck is wrong with y'all? And I was like, I swear to God, when I find out who bit my apple, it is on for life. And I'm like mad, bro. And I'm like, I end up eating, I eat the apple or whatever. No one would tell me. It took weeks to find out, and everyone kind of pointed the finger at Jim. It's like, who do you think did it? You know, I don't know, but who would do something like that? Because like Jim was always the joker. And I was so mad, bro. I was so angry. To this day, I will take if Jim leaves his food around me. I don't care if it's a burger. I don't care if it's a hot dog. If it's maybe not a hot dog, but if it's a taco, I'm as big of a bite as I can take. And it wasn't a small bite they took out of my apple. It was like a giant bite. But that one triggered me really, really bad. The only time I've lost it in training was a kid. His name was Josh, and we were sparring. He was throwing down. He was throwing hard, and I was like, "Yo, man!" I was like, "Take it easy, take it down a notch." Like, only gonna go as hard as you go. I said, "Hey, man, I'm only gonna go as hard as you go." So I've told him twice now, and then he just he hits me with a hard hook, every color you could imagine, and I hit him with a nasty straight cross. And like I hit him with a cross, and his chin pop, his like head popped in the air, and I was like, "Here comes the hook." And I hit him with a hook, and I was like, "Here comes the overhand." And I went to swing the overhand, and his body was falling underneath me, and I was like, "Oh no!" I just knew. I was like, "Man, I shouldn't have done that." Like I immediate instant regret, but I was so mad still, and I was like, and L was like, "Take a walk," and I was like, "Yes, sir." Just started walked away. I came back, and the kid was like, "I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry." And I was like, "What the? I've never been apologized to for knocking somebody out." But he's like, "Honestly, it's my fault. You told me multiple times. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." And I was like, "No, I could have at any moment just been like, hey, I'm in fight camp right now, and I don't need to go around like this with you." I could have done that, but instead I had an emotional outburst. So my top 3 emotional outbursts during fight camp, there you have it. But I probably got a dozen of them, honestly, man.
There's only one other one that really comes to mind that really stood out. And I wouldn't, it's hard to contribute this one to the fight camp in general, just because it's more of, I was cutting weight. Like I was in the middle of the weight.
Well, that is a big part of it. Like all of mine were during the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It was never.
I was in the sauna. Like it was weigh-in day. I'm in the sauna. And I got my bag full of, I had like a little cooler bag full of ice and stuff in my face, and I'm just trying to breathe. And I'm just, dude, I'm dying. And I get in my head real bad, and I start panicking. And my buddy, Lopez, was with me, and he's like, "Korey, you gotta calm down. You gotta calm down. You're hyperventilating. You gotta calm down." Dude, I freak out. I'm like, "Move! Get out of my way! I can't breathe! I'm dying!" And he stands in front of the door, and I shit you not, man, this dude is no taller than 5'4", you know, and I'm 5'10". And this weight cut was like 165, so it wasn't even like a bad one. I just didn't know how to cut weight. I think it was like maybe my second or third weight cut, you know. I'm, dude, dying. Like at this point, like in my mind, I'm like, "Hey, you're actually suffocating right now. If you don't get out of this heat, you're going to die."
Yeah.
You know? And he stands in front of the door, and he's like, "Stop!" And he puts his hands on the door frame like this, and stand like legs and everything. And I looked at him, and I was like, "Lopez, if you don't get the fuck out of my way, I'm going to throw you through that door." And he looked at me, and he called my bluff, and he goes, "I don't think you can right now." I hit my knees crying. Like, "You're right. Please, bro. Please don't die. Please, please." Like, dude, he had to take me out and calm me down for like 10 minutes, walk me back in. And then I was like, and after the weight cut, after I made the weight, we walk in, and he goes, "Hey, man, I'm really glad you was able to walk back in. You had me fucking scared." I was like, he's like, "I don't know how to tell Roberto that this dude's not going to make weight because he tried to kill me in the sauna." Like,
yeah.
Bro.
Now the sauna has broke many men.
Yeah.
I have watched the sauna break a ton of men and women over the years. You know, speaking of Hannah Goldie too, man, she's one of the toughest when it comes to weight cutting. It's insane the amount of weight that she cuts. So while I gave him a little bit of flack earlier saying that, you know, cornering a woman is hard, when it comes to locking in and doing what you got to do, I got to admit, all the women that I've worked with, whether it's Ari or Hannah, who have also punched me in my face and slammed me and done all the mean things to me, extremely professional. Like they don't, if they said they're going to do something, they're going to do it. I've seen, like I said, I've seen the sauna break grown men, and I've seen moments where I'm like, "Oh, Hannah's going to break. Like this is not, she can't get this last pound out." Nope. I'm like, dude, the mental fortitude is insane. But man, as we start to unwind here a little bit, we like to watch a couple videos and ask a couple questions. I kind of started earlier when I asked you about your most embarrassing. That's a good new question for me to ask. You know, I've never asked that question before, but for whatever reason, I thought of it in the moment. But you know, knowing it's so funny because If you ask a lot of guys that, they're going to shy away from that, like, oh, emotional, but I like that question. What's your funniest emotional outburst during a fight camp? I think I'm going to get a lot of interesting questions or a lot of interesting answers from that. I saw Mike Perry one time. He reminded me of this. He's sparring an amateur, and the amateur's going crazy, trying to like hurt him and stuff. And Mike's like trying to like keep this cool, and Mike loses it. He's like, I'm mad. He's like, I'm gonna kill this mother. And like he literally loses it. And so Julian, everyone tries to calm him down, keep him from beating up the amateur guy. He runs over. There's a hole in the wall at Fusion that's like around the 6 foot mark. Mike's not 6 foot. He's like 5'10". He's about your height,
yeah, like
5'9", 5'10". But on the 6'1", 6'2" mark, actually, there's a hole. This dude right over there, he jumped in the air and headbutted the wall. He could have just headbutted the pad where it was nice and soft, but he jumped above the wall mat and headbutted the wall. He was so frustrated. Which, I mean, some of these amateurs, the way they come in and throw with reckless abandonment make you want to go headbutt a wall. I've just never actually seen somebody go and headbutt a wall, and it was an amazing
one that's like 4 inches taller than they are.
It was, dude. Number one, props on the ups. Yeah. Number two, that's not a guy you want to fight. A guy that's willing to jump in the air and headbutt a wall is not the guy you want to fight. But anyways, yeah, I've seen some really funny emotional outbursts during weight cuts, during fight camps. Emotions run high, food is running low. It is, especially when you get that final 24-hour mark. Man, I think anything's on the table. And that's why I always say, going back to the corner conversation, it's important to have people who know you like the back of their hand, and you know them like the back of their hand, so that when you come in those moments where someone's standing in front of the door, which happens very often, if you're just a fight fan, not a fighter, you don't know about this. I have had guys stand in front of the sauna for me. I have stood in front of the sauna of people.
I have literally had to take somebody's back in the sauna to keep them from running out. Now that is a little sus, if you ask me. Sweaty men, half naked, and you're jumping on their back. Well, technically, he wasn't even like up yet. He just panicked. He was sitting right next to me.
You got on his back and made him want to get up, huh?
Hey, man, you have to work that extra pound off. You know what I'm saying? It worked. Ain't nothing like getting that heart rate up. But no, I
covered in sweet sweat, dude. Slippery sweet sweat.
It smelled amazing. I'm pretty sure that we had some kind of like mellow, like music playing too to kind of keep them calm. Because I don't know about, some people, they love being hyped all the time with their music. Mm-hmm. When I'm cutting weight, you know me. I'm a country boy. Yep. I love country music, but not like that Luke Bryan sissy hip hoppity shit. I like old country music. Willie, Waylon, Hank, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'll listen to that, but I'll even go as far as to, Elvis Presley, stuff like that. It's like just real, stay calm, breathe, don't panic. You know what I mean? I've tried to do it with, rap, hard rock, classic rock, and I don't have anything against that music. I'll listen to it, from time to time, but man, when I'm in there and I'm already, I think it kind of goes into the corner thing. I don't want someone yelling at me.
Yeah.
I need to be calm. I need to just hear things like, just let this thing fall off, so clearly it didn't work for him because he panicked.
I'm not a big music guy. Even when I go on runs, people think I'm weird. But podcasts is I want to listen to a podcast or something that's like informational or informative, a book, something like. I'm just not a music guy in general. Even when I cut weight, I would rather be in my own head, which can be a dark and scary place at times. But like, I'd rather sit there and like fight, work through whatever issue I'm going through or like figure it out on my brain. I'm not a big music guy. I was in Vegas during Ilya Tapora's weight cut for Bryce Mitchell, and he had a whole team with him. He had like 12 guys in the sauna. It was packed in there. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget, honestly, it was the coolest weight cutting experience I've ever witnessed. They were playing music extremely loud. They were singing. They were dancing. They were having an amazing time. Now, I've always thought, I don't want to deal with that when I'm cutting weight. I don't want to see people doing that. But Ilya looked like he was having a blast. His brother was in there too. They definitely enjoyed it. I mean, they were chanting. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. The energy and the vibe going into fight. I was like, yo, that's how you do it right there.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of clips of that, and even some fusion guys. That's kind of how they'll get down. They're in there with the JBL speaker, and they're all, and that's cool. And honestly, I don't mind that at all. Honestly, if everyone's in there doing it, but when it's me and like one other dude, I'm just like, hey man, let me lay down. How about you don't fucking talk to me or touch me or anything like that? But I like that because even with running, like you were saying, it's just a form of distraction.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I'm not no therapist, but I can tell you right now, just based off of our relationship over the years, I can tell you 100% that I 100% can see you never listening to music, because for the past 8 or 9 years, you have preached to me on mental toughness. Everything you do. I remember asking you about being burnt out and taking breaks, and you're like, no, you just gotta be a bitch, man. You know, like mental toughness. That's why I'll go sit in the sauna for however long. Just mental toughness. Every single thing I do, I'm trying to build my mental toughness. I love that. And I kind of took that and ran with it. And that's honestly why I don't do the hyped type of, you know, thing. I just want to be calm. I want to think about stuff, you know, think about different stuff. And then when it gets real hard for me, I just kind of repeat this quote in my head 24/7. Like when I'm in the sauna and it's like that wave of, you know, cold air hits you. And it's something that Roberto said to me when we were in Texas, actually, for a UFC event. And it was, man, your mind is master of the body. Hurt now, smash later. You know what I mean? And I'll just say that over and over and over again until eventually the scale is where I need it to be. But yeah, no music is crazy to me. I don't know if I could do no music. I need some kind of ambience going on while I'm in there.
Well, that's why I like podcasts. You know, when I listen to music, I can't help the way my brain thinks. And this is for, number one, like music doesn't really do anything to me. Like all my walkouts throughout my whole fight career were funny. I walked out to Boy George, Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? I walked out to Olivia Newton-John, Let's Get Physical. Walked out to YMCA. I've walked out to Hit Me Baby One More Time. You name it, just funny stuff. Like anything, I'm like playing it up to the crowd. It's a way for me to be entertaining. But for me, it's like I want to be present. Like I want to be in the moment. And whenever I start playing music, you know what I'm thinking about is like, okay, that song's probably 3 minutes long. So I've only been in it for 3 minutes. And it's like, wow. But if I'm listening to a podcast, I'll get lost in the words and I'll be thinking about whatever they're talking about and time will fly by. But like if I'm putting music on my run, I'm like, oh, well, I'm just so analytical. I'm like, oh yeah, it's like a 3 minute song. I'm probably like a half mile down right now. And I'm thinking about stuff that's like not at all to do with like just being in the moment, and like not in the sense of like what I'm doing at the moment, but like being in the moment in my own brain and present in my own brain. But yeah, I think mental toughness is a big one. I always think of a story about Americans expecting comfort. It was an American wrestler, I forget who he is now, but he was getting in the shower after the Olympics that were in Russia, I believe. And I think it was Kolot was the other wrestler, was in there taking a shower. So he goes in, turns on the water, and gets under, and it's freezing cold. And he was like, what the hell? Like, oh man, it's cold. He's trying to play with the knobs and find hot water. There's no hot water. It's just cold water. And he was like, man, looking back on that, it's funny how Americans just expect comfort. They expect hot water. They expect AC in their house. And here's this other guy who's like, no, he's not expecting comfort. In fact, he's going to welcome to be uncomfortable. And it's like, the more you can welcome, Joe Rogan talks about it a lot. All the guys, you know, all the influencers talk about it. Being uncomfortable, getting rid of comfort and welcoming the uncomfortable phases, the uncomfortable. I think that's where growth happens.
Getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, getting comfortable being uncomfortable. That's where the growth happens. That's where you really find out what you're made of and make the biggest strides, I think, you know, in your game. It's like I see so many fighters who just want to be comfortable. Okay, I'm just going to be striking because I'm a good striker. Or like you said earlier, you're a good wrestler, so you started doing striking to be uncomfortable and grow. But I think if more people took that route, I think America would be doing a lot better than always seeking comfort. I think always seeking comfort is why we are where we are today. But you know, the quote, great men, weak men, great men. So maybe we're going to go back into that phase of great men here soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
So let's see what Raina has pulled up for us. She pulled a couple different clips that we will check out. Oh, one of your own viral clips. Let's play this bad boy, Raina. It's cool. We can do the little sound. Pause.
I'm trying to see what that be like right there. Look,
What is she talking about, Korey? What's happening at home that's going to help you in an MMA fight while you're in full mount?
My wife hates that fucking video. So, this is gonna sound weird, but that wasn't my wife. That was my sister. And what she is referring to is growing up. We grew up way out in the country, kind of on a farm.
I'm real curious as where this is going now. You grew up real country in the farm, and that's your sister. Keep going.
It's not Kentucky, bro. We're in Florida. Calm down. But no, like we were, you know, I have multiple siblings. I am her only sibling, you know. So growing up, I was always kind of the defender, protector of her and my mom because it was just us three, you know. My parents were divorced at a really, I don't even think I was born yet. I think it was like 2 months before I was even born. My mom and dad got divorced. And I was the only product of my mom and dad. Fast forward, her dad was my stepdad from the time I was like 8 months until I was 13. And when her and my stepdad got divorced, you know, obviously that relationship continued on to this day. You know, he's still my dad, you know, he helped raise me. But we moved back out to McClenny where we had family and stuff, and we got back on some land. And because it was just us, like we were inseparable in the sense of if I went out and rode horses, she went out and rode horses with me. If I rode four-wheelers, she was out there riding the four-wheelers with me. If I went and played football with my buddies, she went out and at least watched. If I was out there playing basketball, same thing kind of thing. But
if she wanted to play princess dress up, you played princess dress up.
I mean, somebody had to do it.
Okay. Good brother. That's a good brother.
Yeah. No, but and I am her older brother. But that being said, our dad was very specific in his standards of her talking to boys and boyfriends and girlfriends and shit. I now have 2 daughters. You have a daughter. You get where I'm going with this. But that being said, the older she got, I think I had to have been 12 when we moved out there. She was like 9, you know. And with it just being us, she didn't have an older sister. And, you know, my mom was my mom. You know, she was a great mom, obviously, but she's not like a lot of today's mom and dads where they're like, that's my best friend. At least not until they got older, you know?
Yeah.
But she would come to me and I used it as an example the other day. One of our females at the school was like, we were like, you know, we feel like you don't really like the training portion. And she's like, no, I like training. I don't like getting smashed. I want to get really good. I just don't like getting smashed. And I'm like, you remind me of my sister when she would come home and be like, will you teach me how to fight? Do not hit me. Like, you know what I mean? So, but growing up, like I didn't have any brothers that lived out there with me. You know, they lived with my dad in Georgia. So when I go out there and see them, that was always fun, you know, because it's me and my brothers and stuff like that. And I had other sisters. But when it was just me and her, which was most of the time, like she was kind of like my brother. I treated her like a brother. Like I would ragdoll her ass if she was like, teach me how to fight. And I'm like, word, let's go.
So in that moment, in that position, what were y'all doing at home that she wanted you to use?
I have no idea. Now that I have no idea. I don't know if that was like just a spurt of, hey, kick his ass like you used to kick, or you used to kick my ass or whatever. But I'll tell you what's real funny about that fight. Before that little clip, my mom goes, you kick his ass right now or whatever. And this dude goes, you got yourself a good woman, buddy. And I was like, I'm gonna have to kick your ass even harder for that comment. Like, ew, you know? And it's only funny because when I first saw that video, I went to Mitch and I was like, hey man, you know, that wasn't Jay. To which you laughed extremely hard. And you're like, I know. And he goes, first of all, I know Jay would never fucking say something like that.
Yep.
2, I was standing right next to her when she said it. And I was like, damn, man. And if you look down the comments of that viral video, there are some people that are like, oh, plot twist, it's his sister. And I'm like, you got no fucking idea.
Yeah. I'm not as involved anymore when it comes to the creation of social media content. Obviously I put a very important like style and flavor for our reels that the guys have gotten really good at, Daniel Faulkner and Danny Donaldson. They're great at it. But this is one of my gifts from back in the day.
Yeah.
Until about a year, actually beginning of this year is where they really kind of like took over and started doing most of the posts. But prior to that, a lot of it was like my sauce and my flavoring. And it's like, I didn't tell them. I mean, I didn't say that it was or wasn't. I'm letting the fans have fun with it. You know, I'm just saying what was said, what happened. That's it. And then let the fans have fun with it. I've learned with the reels, you know, it's better to just let the people notice stuff themselves. Like not point it out, not say whatever.
I'll tell you what's real funny is he told me after that, he was like, man, I'm gonna let you know. I heard her say, do to him what we used to do at home. Right as he was saying that, like, I'm not listening to anything. Like, the only person I'm listening to is Roberto.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't hear none of that shit. He kept talking to me though, and I was like, bro, I'm trying to fuck you up. Shut up. You know, and Shane's, you know, he's a funny dude, man. I think he's fighting on this card too.
Yeah, he's fighting as well. Him and Seth. Yeah.
So you got one of my, you know, former opponents and a buddy of mine that I've trained with for years, you know.
Yeah. Somebody's O's got to go.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited for that fight.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But he told me after, he's like, man, right when she said that, I don't know what you did. I grapevined his fucking legs and sprawled out and literally spread him out like that. And he said, you spread my ass. And I've never been so scared in my life.
I believe it. Shane's a trip, man. He cracks me up. But that's awesome. So we finally have the answer to what you're doing at home, to the viral video after all these years. Now we know what Korey was doing at home. I'm thankful that Random pulled that video up. We got some more videos here. What do we got? It says disgusting elbow counter. I love elbow counters. Ooh.
That sucks.
That's rough.
Yeah.
You know, he dodges the hook, leans back on the ropes, and steps, just kind of springs forward with an elbow. You know, I would say that's the guy's fault that's throwing the punch.
100%.
No range.
Where was he throwing it at?
Yeah, no range management, no distance management. The guy's on the ropes. He can only go so far back. You know, the ropes do have a little give. It's a little more than a cage. Like if you're on the cage, unless it's a takedown, you're on the cage.
Yeah.
But with the ropes, they do have a little more give.
He was in the corner though. Like there's a ring.
Yeah,
right
the turnbuckle doesn't have much give at all, but you can lean your head over the turnbuckle.
Yeah.
But man, the guy who came in for that hook, he really missed the mark and paid for it big.
I'm curious to see what round that was in because the way he threw it and just kind of swung his whole body and dropped both of his hands. Like I wonder how tired he was. You know, but I mean, he got the nap.
Yeah,
he got the nap right after. But yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, it's a nasty elbow. I love it. You know, I love seeing knockouts that happen because of the person that got knocked out's mistake. So it's like you had no range management there. You had no distance management. The other guy had a really high fight IQ, lean back, stepped in with the elbow. Because if he had thrown a hook himself, he might not even hit the guy. If he had thrown an overhand, might not have hit the guy. If he threw a cross, the guy was so close, it might not have worked. But just the fight IQ and know-how to be like, all right, right now I have a really good elbow I can throw here. And man, connected in devastating fashion. That was really dope. Let's see what else Rainey has in store for us. All right. Another fight video. I love it. Spinning kicks. Didn't see that coming. Oof. I actually thought the guy throwing the spinning kick was going to get knocked out.
Yeah. Oof.
Play that one more time, Reina.
And he almost kind of like took a bow the way his hands went.
Walks right. Ooh.
Behind his back. Ooh.
He's out. He's out. Can you play that one more time, Reina? Now, after a guy comes at you, this kamikaze of attacks, crazy spin kicks. He walked forward with his hands down. This guy came at him with kamikaze spinning attacks. And he thinks, okay, he missed all that. Let me just walk forward with my hands down and let's see what could go wrong.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, he threw like 2 or 3 spinning head kicks. Why would you not keep your hands by your face?
Yes, indeed. That is not, I don't recommend that for anybody.
No.
We got anything else over there, Rainey? Oh, good old jiu-jitsu match. Let's see what goes down here. ADCC, so it could be a big slam.
Ooh.
Ooh, nice armbar. That's slick.
That was super slick. That was nice.
Yeah. So he went from a Berimbolo leg entry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that was really slick.
Nasty. The guy sprawled and he just saw an arm and said, you know what, you're coming home with me.
Yeah, I think when he sprawled, he went to try and put his hands on him to kind of keep his legs away. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like he went to post maybe on his hips or his
Yeah.
legs or something, and it just wasn't there. And you know, I was thinking he's gonna roll into a triangle off that initially when I saw the way he kind of fell into the guy's guard. I did not see the armbar coming, but that's one of my favorite armbars off a failed armbar to hit.
I was gonna say that is actually that's my go-to. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that.
it's really smooth. I like that. I was really slick there from the jiu-jitsu guy. Is this more jiu-jitsu? Oh, yeah.
Where's the IBJJF?
Got to be with those ugly colors.
Mm.
Oh, the front flip slam to get him off the back. Oh, it's going to be a DQ.
That is. Hey, I'll tell you a funny story. That actually happened to me in a jiu-jitsu tournament.
Did you cry though?
I did not cry. I did, however, have like 2 or 3 of my bottom teeth go all the way through my lip.
Ooh.
Yeah, because apparently he could not complete the front flip, so my face just ate all of the mat with mine and his weight.
Did he get DQ'd?
No, because I guess he thought I had a full sunk-in rear naked choke with a body triangle, and he front flipped, and my face went and just smashed. And when he rolled, I lost the video a long time ago. When he rolled, because I started squeezing and I was holding my breath, you could just see it like start pouring out. But then his face, because he was, which has always been weird to me, he was also holding his breath, which is weird because it's not like an airway choke. It was a blood choke. But dude, his face was like that color red, and he tapped and he got up and he goes, "I'm gonna get your ass in gi." I was like, "Okay, bud, yeah."
You know what gets me though is the DQs and IBJJF. It's like, no, you could have let go of his back. You could have gotten off of his back. In that position, I think slam should be legal anyways. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. I think I'm not sure for like IBJJF and like PANs and stuff like that, but I know for, like the ADCC and all that stuff, you jump guard, you're on the back, whatever. If you are holding on to a submission, almost kind of like MMA, like, hey, bro, and he slams you, that's you. You took that ride. I love that. You know what I mean? I hate going to an IBJJF, a dude getting an armbar, you know what I mean? And the guy just standing up and going, "Let me shake him off a little bit." Like, no, man, drop that dude on his head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, whoa. Man, I was just out of PANs 2 weeks ago. And every time, like if a kid jumped guard or anything like that, like, and the kid got lifted, the ref would run under them and like try to catch them.
Yeah. The IBJJF protects the guard pullers. It does. Just like if you're the guard puller, it protects you from, not getting slammed, not losing points when you pull guard. There's so much favoritism toward guard pulling or being on your back. And in my opinion, it just kind of makes the sport waters it down.
It's watered down. And I think that when it comes to all that guard pulling stuff, like, don't get me wrong, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. I love jiu-jitsu. Sport jiu-jitsu has its place, right? Obviously. But I do feel that some, if not a lot of the guards tend to have to be almost a little like voluntary. You know what I mean? Like when I get lasso and you get spider and you get all the octopus guard and all this stuff, you know what I mean? Like, that was a lot of movement. I'm not saying that some of these guys aren't so proficient that they just throw themselves into there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I always like to think of it like in something to touch back on what Roberto used to always say is like, yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, you're super talented. Hey, if I elbowed you in the teeth, would you be able to do jujitsu? I'm just curious. That's real jujitsu.
That's real jujitsu.
That's real jujitsu. It's comical to me, and I don't know how you feel about this. Anytime jujitsu guys, especially IBJJF PAN, all the gi guys, the big gi guys, walk around, I got to fight this weekend. And I'm like, oh shit, who are you fighting?
Comical.
Dude, I'm like, and then they're like, no, well, I mean, it depends on who's in my bracket. And I'm like, oh shit, it's a tournament style fight. what's the organization? Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Kumate.
I'm like, what's the organization? And they're like, IBJJF. And I'm like, whatever, bro. Yeah.
Here's the thing too, though. Like, I will give credit if you're doing ADCC. I'll give credit, man. I've watched some of those fights. They look like fights. I've watched some of those matches. You're clubbing, you're slamming, you're getting.
Why I didn't include them though.
Yeah. But IBJJF has watered it down so much, and I get it. You want to make money, you want to be mainstream. You're going to have some protections in place, and like make sure you're protecting your athletes. But whenever you start like not allowing slams or you're in an armbar, you can't. Like, how good is someone's submission if they're able to pick you up over their head and slam you on your head? Like, how good is your submission? Honestly, they should stop it. If I can pick you up and put you over my head, stop. Person, you get 2 points because that's pretty cool. You just pick someone up over your head.
Yeah. I mean, we could call that a takedown.
And now we're going to start over.
Yeah.
Okay? Because he just picked you up. He just ended your life.
Yeah.
Done.
100%.
So, yeah, I'm a big fan of, obviously, I'm a big fan of jiu-jitsu as well. But I don't want to see it go down the path of judo. Judo has just like continuously gotten rid of things that are allowed and not allowed to the point it's not even judo anymore.
I got all these guys, we have a pretty big judo guy at our school right now. He was, he tried to get a fight with you guys a couple times and, had an opponent fall out and stuff like that, which happens. But man, high level judo, high level. And I can't believe that at the Olympic level of judo that this guy was at from Cuba, right? And if you look at him, bro, he's like, hey, what kind of steroids did you eat from a toddler up until now?
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. But once the throw is badass. After the throw, it's like, okay, cool. So now your soul is mine because you have no follow-up. And then, I'll get these judo videos where it's some super cool ninja spinning throw that involves you ending on your back because his shoulders touch first, but the momentum carries you over, obviously. And I'm like, I mean, cool, I guess, if like you're shooting a video, but like as far as being applicable, I don't want to do shit that puts me on my back.
To anything in real life.
No.
It's just not.
No.
All right, we got another video here. Coldest knockout in MMA. I doubt it, but we will see what they have to say.
It doesn't look like the Duval slap knockout, so. Ooh.
Oh, froze him.
Ooh.
Sub-Zero got a new nickname. He's holding him and putting him down on the mat.
Was he leaning on the cage or?
It didn't look like it. It looked like he was froze.
Oh my God. Oh, and then the second one knocked him to the cage.
But he's still standing on his own without his legs.
Yeah.
Talk about going stiff. Man, that is an insane. That actually, that's a pretty cold knockout. I stand corrected. Wow. That's going down. I mean, that's on my highlight video for the end of times. That is it right there. That's what I'm showing all the girls at the bar. If I was single, Brandy, if I was single. Yeah, that's a nasty knockout. I couldn't imagine. I have no official knockouts. Like I've never knocked anyone out cold. That was definitely an out cold knockout. Yeah. I don't know. I'd probably lose it. I'm sure. Can you play that one more time? What did the opponent do? I don't know if he even acknowledged what he just did in the moment. It looked like he just kind of walked off.
Unless he's just going around knocking dudes out like this at his gym all the time. And it's not that
big. Yeah, it's not a big deal to him. Maybe that is it too. Nonchalantly walks off. He's like, yeah, I just killed a man.
I was going to say, he could be concerned. He could be concerned. Yeah, because that's, I don't know how to tell this guy this, but I would maybe think about, transitioning to jiu-jitsu, maybe IBJJF tournaments or something.
Yeah, go protect yourself a little bit. That was rough, man. Yeah. We got any other videos, Raina? Is that it? All right. Well, man, anything else you want to say? You want to close out with? Friends, family, anything you want to show some love to? Maybe like your wife?
Hey, we've talked about her a lot. All right. Okay. I brought her up on almost everything. No, I obviously thank you for having me. This is awesome. And it's kind of a crazy coincidence because I saw where Mikey was on here, and then I saw John. I can never pronounce his last name. Starts with an M. Morea. I saw him on here. I was like, oh man, that's so cool. Me and Mitch are pretty close. I don't think I've got a phone call about a podcast or nothing. But what? No, he's not partial at all. No, but seriously, thank you for having me on. This was an awesome experience. I love every bit of it. Obviously, I love being able to come together and just hang out with you and our wives and kids are back at the house chilling and doing their thing. So it's always a good time in general. But I do want to say, on the topic of my wife, if you are watching, or if not, I'll show you the replay. It's okay. One thing I didn't get to touch on was having that partner, kind of like your coaches, kind of like your teammates, but having that partner that over time and over the years grows with you and, you know, understands it more and kind of has your back through everything. And that's definitely Jay, man. You know, my wife has been great. I can remember my first like 5 amateur fights. She absolutely hated it. She hated it. She hated it. I used to have to try and convince her. I made deals with her. I won't take a fight until every like 6 or 7 months. I'll keep them spaced, please, you know, because that's a big commitment. You know, I'm taking a lot of time out of my life, work life, family life. And, you know, having kids that's a huge deal. And we have 3 kids, and, you know, I wouldn't be able to do this without her. Like, none of this would be possible if I didn't have her at home, you know, helping me with meal prep, making sure the kids are good, making sure the house is good, making sure she's staying on top of me. And I will say this, there are days that I'm like, man, fuck this. I want a break. I need a snack. I'm thirsty. I'm hungry. I'm tired, whatever. I don't want to go train. And over the years, you know, she has grown into that person for me where she is my number one, you know, my number one teammate and fighting in camps and just in life in general. But man, my last fight, I had a moment midway through camp. My weight wasn't where I wanted to be. Obviously, I started at I screwed myself on that. You know, I put myself in every hard situation I possibly could. You know, that's on me. But I had a point where like I broke, and I came home and I cried, and it wasn't like I broke because of training. I was so disappointed in myself. You know, I had a year layoff, and I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I think it's time to stop. You know, I'm hungry. I'm always tired. I'm just tired of being hurt all the time. Obviously, the older I get, the more the injuries are a little bit more lasting, you know, the soreness, the recovery, all that shit sucks. And thank you, Theron. You kind of ruined the speech for me. I was going to have it after I beat you, but you know, that didn't work out. But, you know, I wanted to take the opportunity kind of on a platform to put her on that pedestal. And this is, you know, a pretty good one. So I got home, I'm broken, I'm crying. I don't want to do this shit no more. And she looked at me and she was like, you're doing it. This is what you want to do. This is who you are. Like, I know that things are tough. You're going to get past this. And she looked at me and she said, and I know you. Come May, if you are not on that card, win or lose, you will hate yourself afterwards for not pushing through it. And she kind of talked me into it. I didn't think nothing of it at the time. And then she left because she probably had to go pick up the kids from school so I could go train, you know? And she texted me and she was like, I love you so much. Please don't be mad at me. Let me push you because I hate to see you break. I am your biggest fan. If I wasn't already crying like a little bitch before, dude, I lost it for like 3 days. I almost couldn't even see her without almost tearing up. So I say all that to say this. Thank you so much for everything that you do for me and for our kids, you know, our family in general. Thank you for being a part of this. I would have never imagined I would have made it this far, ever. I love you, and I look forward to finishing this career with you and then living the rest of our lives, you know, doing whatever we, you know, need, doing whatever you want, whatever you deserve. So thank you to all my teammates, all my coaches, you know, Roberto, Gene, you know, I got Kuba over there, Preston, Steve, Trey, Ramon. I got all those guys. I have an amazing pool of talent to train with and learn from and get me ready for this stuff. And thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Combat Night, Richard, everybody, Ramsey, and, you know, just the whole organization as a whole. I can't imagine fighting for anybody else or being anywhere else. I'm just glad that I can be a part of this group and this family. So I look forward to November 8th and, you know, whatever comes after that. So
Fighters, if you heard Korey talk about his woman, that is the type of woman you should all be aspiring to find. Someone who supports you through the thick and the thin of it all. Someone who knows you and supports you like that is invaluable. And if you've been listening to the whole podcast, the last thing you want is that woman that's going to start an argument with you at the face-offs or at weigh-ins or whatever and make you not want to fight. You know, you got to find that woman that's pushing you to be better, a better version of yourself. You know, I've said it 100 times, but a woman can make you or it can break you. It sounds like you found a woman that's made you. And
she broke me a couple times too, to be fair.
They all break you. Yeah, they all break you, especially the Spanish ones. But yeah, guys, aspire to find that woman, and women or men, if you're dating a fighter, if you're dating a fighter, aspire to be that partner. Be the person who's going to be there through thick and thin, help them when they've fallen, pick them up, clean them off when they're bleeding. You know, that's an invaluable person to have in your life, not just in fighting, just in your life in general. You want to have that kind of relationship, someone who is always looking out for you and that wants to see you be the best version of yourself. So with that, Brandy already knows I show that woman so much love and support and everything else, and she does the same for me. You know, I said something earlier in a post about 20 years we've been together. And what I've learned, the most valuable thing I can give anybody, as far as like relationship advice goes, is that number one, the woman I fell in love with 20 years ago, I would hate today. And the man she fell in love with 20 years ago, she would hate today. So throughout the time, you know, in any relationship, the most important thing is being able to grow together. You don't always grow together, but when you don't grow together, being willing to sprinkle a little water on their pot and making sure they grow and catch up with you instead of leaving them in the dust. And I'm very thankful that over the years, 20 years, me and Brandy have been together. We've grown apart a lot, but we've always found a way to come back together. And that to me is very, very hard. That's what makes relationships so hard. It's so easy whenever you outgrow somebody or somebody outgrows you just to be like, you know, bye. I don't want anything to do with you. But it's a lot harder to stick around and find ways to grow together and be better versions of yourself with each other. And yeah, I'm lucky. I know you're lucky. You know, we're good family friends or whatever. I'm also blessed to be surrounded by a bunch of men, real men, not no beta bullshit Andrew Tate type men. I'm talking about real men that whenever you come to them with a problem that you and your girl might be having, they're not trying to tempt you with going out to drink. They're not trying to do any of these other things. You know, your environment's very important. So I'm thankful to be surrounded by a bunch of good men that whenever I bring problems and I talk to them about how they would handle something or what they would do in the situation, they give me good, solid advice like a man would. And they don't act like boys and say, let's go drink or let's go meet other bitches. So it's important, you know, a successful relationship, it takes a tribe. I think the same goes for being a dad. You have to have a lot of good people around you to get good advice, to learn what you should be doing. Because I damn sure don't have all the answers, but I promise you, my group of boys that I got like 50. I'm lucky. I'm so blessed. I got like 50 people I can turn to and ask for advice. And that's the reason why I have so many successful relationships. That's why I consider myself an amazing dad, a great husband. And it's a lot of it has to do with the men I surrounded myself with. So with that, a lot of little sentimental shit at the end, we will end the episode, and we'll see you guys not next Sunday, but this coming Friday to talk about the upcoming card in Duval, November 8th, that Korey will be fighting on. I cannot wait. We have so many good fights happening on that fight card. And then again, November 15th, we end the year at Rise of a Warrior with the Super Bowl of MMA here in Florida. One of the best events. I love it. It's such a dope atmosphere down there. But yeah, that's it. Catch you guys on Friday for the pre-show.
Are you ready for combat night?